and get our meeting started for our regular meeting for the City Council of the City of Perry, June 3rd, 2024. And let's begin with roll call.
Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis. Here. Coldiron.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams. Here. Brown. Here. Worthing.
Here. All right, we've got quorum and everyone's here today. All right, well, our invocation today, we have Reverend Ron Fike here to offer that for us.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Shall we bow our heads and pray? Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day, an opportunity to do your will and seek your face and serve your people. So we thank you for all the folks here and all the different roles they play. We thank you for the camaraderie and among the colleagues and all the different folks doing so much for this wonderful community. So continue to provide for us. We thank you for all the folks and the budgets and all those, and we pray for wisdom and guidance for the group as they set the budget and do all this wonderful work, hard work though. So be with them, give them strength and courage and again, that camaraderie that we can build one another and work together. So walk with them this night and throughout the weeks and months to come. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
Do we have anything going on with First Presbyterian or?
Well, yeah. It's been busy. This is the time of the year we kind of take a Sabbath rest. We just finished Vacation Bible School. We had 45 to 50 kids last week, throughout the week. And so it was fun. It's my favorite week of the year. The energy with PBS is always fun. So now we're going to take a break, but we'll kick it back off in August. We'll have our Backpack Blessings program. And the United Fund just gave us $3,000 again this year. They did last year too. And so we'll give away, last year we gave away 230 backpacks to school kids filled with school supplies, which is a huge help to the families in our community. And you all help with that. It's a community. We've been doing it so long, it's a community event now. And so we thank you all for your support and the care for the families in the community. Yeah, we're doing well. We average about 80, 79 is our average attendance. So we've grown. I've been here 3.5 years now. Plan to stay here, so.
Good.
Great community. We thank you all for all you do.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
God bless. Enjoy the
Oh, we will enjoy this evening. This is our favorite meeting of the year.
I'm looking so forward to it.
We've got popcorn, drinks, we're ready to go. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get started with item number 1, our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Let's have roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Coldiron.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. All right, down to item number 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to items on the city agenda. Don't believe we have anyone for that. Item number 5, we'll get through this one fairly quick. Proclamations, commendations. None? Okay. Council reports, Ward 1, Scott, Gloria.
I've just noticed that, I think it's because of all the rain, but it seems like we're getting a lot of high grass in our lawns and stuff around town. And, that's been hard to keep it down because of the rain.
Yeah. All right. Ward 2, Joe, Austin.
I do have something to share, maybe a potential concern that comes with it.
Yeah.
Toro will be donating a greenhouse to Perry Public Schools that will be utilized by Ag in the STEM program. The operations director at the school met with the city building official, and he advised that the setbacks from the property line would need to be 10 feet from the alley and 5 feet from the property adjacent to the west of the VOAG building. And those setbacks that were advised will not currently facilitate the greenhouse, so he will be meeting, not sure what this board was, but the Board of Adjustments to see if any adjustments can be made to accommodate that. So,
That's nice, I guess that's something to put on your radar.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Do you know when that meeting is? Any idea?
do not. That was just from the end of last week.
Okay, nice, that's awesome that Toro's doing that though.
Yeah.
Thank you, Austin. All right, Ward 3. Annette, Randy?
I've had a couple more citizens come to me and concerned about cars parking on some of our more narrow streets, and should we do something about that?
Still
And just
Fairway
like-
or just different areas?
Fairway was one of them.
Fairway.
It's on, our one-on-one to talk to Brian about. We need to look at what other cities are doing, come up with some recommendations on, what we should do in terms of outlawing it in certain streets, and, I think that's gonna depend on the width and the mile per hour. Also, if there's sidewalks, I think would affect things as well.
Right.
Um,
Be able to
so
get
there's quite a
emergency
few
vehicles
factors.
through there, and, yeah.
But it is on the radar, we have it for our next one, we'll have to talk about.
Okay, perfect. All right, Ward 4?
I don't have anything.
No? There? No? All right. Committee reports from zoning, we've got quite a few things on the agenda today. Anything to update or add beyond what's on the agenda? Okay. Hospital will have an update from that as well. Courtney's here to provide that. Do you have any other committees that I'm missing? You're working on anything?
Drainage, but there, I don't have anything to report on.
Okay. No? Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll move along from there. And so we are going to skip down to item number 14. So this item is to receive recommendation from the Perry Planning Commission on the application of Manj Mohan on behalf of Comfort Inn and Suites to permit the continued location of temporary storage containers at 3112 West First Street, Perry, Oklahoma 73077, pursuant to section 5-114 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022. If you hadn't read the background on this, the Planning Commission received the recommendation, or offering us the recommendation that we allow Comfort Inn and Suites. They have a couple of storage containers located at the property. They're gonna be barricading those and getting them a little bit more out of sight, out of view. And they're gonna put a fence around it and painting the storage containers the same color as the building. So aesthetically, it's matching their property.
This is not something we ordinarily allow though, right?
No, typically not. I mean, storage containers would be allowed for temporary usage during construction or renovation or things like that. And this is so that it is more of a permanent structure on the property. So because of that, the Planning Commission has recommended that they paint the storage containers and they put a fence around it.
Yeah, these were kind of grandfathered in a way, they're old enough and they've been there long enough that this was pre-ordinance. The only reason we have the ability to actually say, hey, you guys can keep these, but you have to do X, Y, and Z, or because, there was some communication in the initial allowance, that said, hey, this is gonna be temporary, but that wasn't communicated well to the owners, and they thought it was a permanent solution. So we're kind of making concessions there is the idea.
Yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead,
ask
Jared.
a question of clarification? Are we sure, I mean, I don't think it was before ordinance, right? It was just that there was miscommunication during the permitting?
I understood it to be before ordinance, but I could be wrong.
All right, Bryce, do you remember if it was?
Oh, yes, it was definitely before this ordinance.
It was before this ordinance,
Yes.
yeah.
Now, the ordinance provides that, you know, to keep them there, that it would have had to have been, a permit would have had to have been issued. It had to have been permissive at that time. And of course, this is an accessory structure. And accessory structures get approved and get permits, just like particularly a structure like this. That didn't happen, but I think clearly the planning commission felt that so much time had gone by and if they were allowed to do this for so long, that it would be unfair to require them to remove it. So I pointed out that you could allow it to continue, either, what I suggested was subject to an annual or biannual permit to ensure that whatever conditions that you placed on it would be maintained. And then the conditions that the planning commission agreed to were the painting of the structure the same as the building. And then also to provide the screening on all sides except for the north side, because I believe that's blocked
That's the entrance, yeah.
by the motel. So I think that Brian Henry also recommended that, some kind of biannual permit. Not that it costs anything, but just that it comes back up on the Rolodex, on his, I guess you don't use Rolodexes, on your computer. And so that, somebody, whoever's there, can take a look and make sure that it still complies. So, I think an appropriate motion perhaps could be to accept the planning commission's recommendation to implement it, but in addition, provide a biannual permit to be supervised by the code department. I think that would be more consistent with everything that was said at the meeting, although that wasn't included in the recommendation of the planning commission, but it's really your job to add conditions.
So I have that background, does anybody have any questions?
Has anyone talked with them about that, and
They're here,
are y'all
So
okay
what sort
with
of
that?
fence are we talking about putting up around the containers?
In the planning commission, they had talked about a 6-foot.
They talked about 6, but that was because it matched our screening ordinances.
Our screening requirements found in our site plan. Under our site plan, screening can be accomplished by fencing, by berm, by landscaping.
Right.
Of course, if there's landscaping, it needs to be continued, and that, of course, is why you do that biannual review. You wouldn't want one planting. I mean, if you chose to do it by screening, then you would have to keep that up. But as I remember, and you were there, I mean, it was really to do screening as per the site plan, correct? I mean, it wasn't actually a fence, but I think
Right.
everyone liked,
Screening.
I think everybody
Right.
liked that
They
idea.
talked about the fence, they talked about
Right.
the
Trees,
plant, the trees
yeah.
and things like that. The gentleman that was there did state that he didn't have a problem with the fence.
Right.
So y'all are okay with that?
Yeah, we're fine with that, but these storage boxes, they're about 8 feet tall. So, I mean, it's not gonna completely conceal them.
No, right.
If we put 6-foot fences up.
Right.
The top 2-3 feet are still gonna be exposed, so.
Right. I think that's why the planning commission also recommended that they paint it the same color as the building. So it
Okay.
would- So it would match.
I mean, would you be willing to do screening that's as tall as or
As tall as the.
I mean,
containers.
we could, but getting a tall fence getting a fence that tall
Yeah.
might be a struggle.
I think that's why we went with that's why the
What
planning
was-
commission went with what we had as screening requirements, but yes,
Right.
it does not cover the.
Right.
So is there a list somewhere that's been shared with the owners that outlines what steps we expect? Screening, paint, other than what we've just talked about this evening?
That would be, if you authorize the permit, then that would be set out,
That would
the
be
screening
created.
provisions in the site plan ordinance would be set out. Now, if you were more specific and said, because you can say that, if you say, no, we want fence, and we want it 8 foot tall, and we want it on all sides but the north, you can do that. The recommendation of the planning commission was screening on all sides except for the north and painting the structures.
Would that have to be in the motion?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Well, I make a motion that we accept the planning commission's recommendation and include a biannual permit.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do we need to put with screening and paint?
Their recommendation was screening
that?
and
Yeah,
paint.
was that?
If you wanted something other than that,
Okay.
screening in accordance with site plan, you need to say it now. But that wasn't in the motion, so.
Okay.
Okay. Let's have roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. Okay, let's go to item number 15. Receive recommendation from the Perry Planning Commission on the application of Richard Crowe regarding parcels 3 and 5, and Nate Reed as city manager of the city of Perry regarding parcel number 4, with all parcels located in the Perry Industrial Park to rezone such parcels from I-1 Industrial Light District to I-2 Industrial Heavy District, and with the parcels to be used as an arena attracting agricultural and rodeo-related events.
This item is just to receive the planning commission's recommendation. If you choose to grant the rezoning, you'll do that in item 16. What the recommendation was to approve this rezoning. And that's chiefly because the lot parcel 1 and parcel 2 are already rezoned I-2. And that this makes it, the first 4 lots are parcels, actually 5 parcels, but 40 acres, all zoned I-2. Now, as the agenda says, the reason we're going I-2 is I-2 allows anything. And this use is going to be a rodeo use, which of course you know because you approved the economic development contract. And we didn't get a sufficient site plan to present now, so that will be done in the future. But do note that there's gonna be pens there, and there's gonna be cattle there, and there's gonna be, I don't know, other animals. I don't know that much about rodeo, but, you know, it's gonna be that use in our industrial park. But I couldn't see rezoning our industrial park, that part of it, agricultural, and since I-2 allows anything, I felt that that was probably the most important, probably the most appropriate. And we are recommending that you do it. It's not only for the lots that they bought, but our own lot.
And why didn't we get a site plan?
That's to come. So this is just the recommendation to change the zoning. It's not to approve the site plan.
Okay.
The site plan will come later.
Yeah, one came, it just didn't have sufficient detail. And we don't wanna present it until it has sufficient detail.
So you're not approving the site plan yet?
Yeah.
So 15, we don't have to do it.
Yeah, 15 is just receiving that recommendation. Yep.
And they recommended
Nope.
approval.
Yeah. And so with that, if there's no other questions on that, we'll go to item number 16, which is consider approval of ordinance number 2024-14, amending the zoning from its current zoning of I-1 Industrial Light District to I-2 Industrial Heavy District for parcel number 3, parcel number 4, and parcel number 5 in the Perry Industrial Park, Noble County, state of Oklahoma. Repealer, saving severability, and declaring an emergency.
So I think we've done this in the past, but can we make this contingent upon approval of the site plan? Or is there any reason not to do that?
No, there's no reason not to rezone it. I mean, the site plan is a separate process, and he cannot put this use there without approval of the site plan. Site plan is required on industrial property. So, I mean, if he doesn't have a site plan, he doesn't get to do it. So, and they're two separate actions. One is that this property is proper to be zoned I-2 because all its neighboring property is I-2. You know, I mean, it's not spot zoning.
Right.
I mean, you could choose not to, but, and you, of course, could choose to table this and have it be brought back up when the site plan has, that's within your powers as a legislative body. But, you know, even without the rodeo there, a I-2 and industrial park is altogether appropriate. And whatever use he would put there has got, a site plan has to be approved.
I think it would be probably be good to move forward with it, because it would show that we're in good
My-
faith.
My gut feel is it keeps the process moving.
Right, right. And that can't come back saying that we're holding
No.
things back, we're ready to move forward.
Consolidating those three
Right.
parcels to all have the same zoning.
Right.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-14.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Let's have roll call.
Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right. So now, let's jump back up.
Let's do an emergency first.
Oh. Always forget this.
I can't throw it.
I know.
Now.
You're not there to.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the emergency.
Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
Can't just nudge you no more.
I know. All right. Now we can move back up, right? Yes. So let's go up to number 11. So this is discussion and action on items pertaining to the Perry Hospital renovation project. We've got 3 sub-items there. Let's start with 11A, receive guaranteed maximum price from Navholtz Construction Corporation for the construction of the Perry Hospital renovation project. And with this, we actually don't have that just yet. Do you want to explain what happened with that?
We opened our sealed bids and we didn't receive bids on 2 of the packages, one being the fireproofing and the other being some abatement because testing came back and there was some asbestos that we will have to abate out of there. So they're currently de-scoping that and seeing if those 2 items need to go back out to sealed bids. So we'll know more when they get that de-scoped. There was also one vendor that put in a bid for both the mechanical and electrical packages, which is a big part of this project. So we want to make sure that it's a very good vendor, since they're going to tie up a lot of the dollars, so they're de-scoping that. Stillwater as a system has used them before for the mechanical part, but not the electrical part. So they're just trying to vet that electrical part.
How long is that going to take?
We're hoping in the next 2 weeks that will be done. We're getting some meetings set up that we'll copy Nate on to meet the vendor.
The numbers look promising.
The numbers look promising. The bids that we did open, most of them did come back below what we have already seen as a budget. So they
Yep.
do look very
Our
promising.
budget for the construction is at $9.3 million, and like I said, with where we're at, minus those 2 bids that we're missing,
Yes,
we're under 9.
yes.
So we've got room, we're coming in under budget right now.
Now, Foltz was very pleased with the numbers that they saw, considering what they've seen bids come back for here recently. So.
Okay. With that, item B is also going to wait. Upon receipt of the guaranteed maximum price, if the purchase order has not been issued, authorize the purchase of the CT units for the radiology department in the amount of $426,400 for the budget allocation of $500,000. We're gonna wait for the GMP on that one as well.
And that's for the purchase of new equipment?
Yes, yeah, for the CT, and you said that you guys are okay with that
Yes.
to this point?
The
yeah?
main point was to figure out which way we were gonna go, because we need the specs so the architects can build the room and the power supply for that, so.
And so 11C, we have consider payment of architects' additional services in the amount of $37,827 pursuant to Article 4.2 of the Professional Services Agreement dated April 10th, 2023 with Health Facilities Group LLC.
And we tabled that in the PFA for Nate to get a hold of them.
Yeah, he's gonna talk to them about what those additional services were and,
So we don't need to take action on that in this meeting, right?
No.
Okay.
and then 11D, we have a presentation of SMCA CEO Operations and Hospital Renovation Status Report.
Okay, so you kind of working for the latest update on the renovation. I'm happy and pleased to say that we had a positive bottom line of just a little over 11,000 when we closed April. And if we stay on this course, we'll have a loss of just about 170,000. So great improvement over last year.
Any questions for Courtney? All right, thank you, Courtney. All right. So now, we will go up to item number 6. And city manager report and updates. Do you have anything outside of what we'll be discussing?
Yeah, just one thing. I'll save most of my remarks for the budget, but I did want to clarify that there's been a lot of questions about the alleyway behind Homeland, and there was kind of a pit that had been dug there, and we had several people call asking why the city had dug a pit, not filled it in. Just to clarify, that was not the city's work. That was AT&T who dug that pit and left it. We actually went and filled it back in and made it safe for residents. But I don't want to take blame for something that isn't our fault. So I did want to just clarify that.
That alley is terrible though, from.
Yes, that's one of the things we can take blame for, yeah. But the pit was not. And yeah, we do have some plans for that one, but it's deteriorated to the point where we can either contract it out, which is too expensive to do, so that option's been eliminated, or we can buy our own streets equipment and do it, which is the plan, and we're looking to do that.
All right. Thank you, Nate. All right, item number 7. Our CFO report and invoice.
Well, he's not gonna take credit for things that we didn't do, but I think we ought to take credit for things we do sometimes. I'm with you. Guys, nothing real big on financial matter. Budgets are our biggest priority. You know, we've had multiple meetings on those. Remember whenever that, we had our budget sessions. We're still working through the line item detail, breaking out the FY23, FY24 details, so we have line items, and hopefully get those put in place by the end of the year. That's the big part you see in our bill. You know, I mean, if you're looking at our bill, that was a significant amount of work we invested last month. We're probably about 60% of the way there as far as the implementation on getting that all done. But done once, and we'll be there for good. So that's where we are, and we're just moving forward.
Yep. Yeah, and that amount being 20,375, but a good chunk of that is really changing.
The
all the
12,000 was is what we billed on the line item detail. So
Right, yeah.
really, our monthly bill was in line with our normal monthly
Right.
stuff, and a normal budget week. You know, I mean, our budget monthly bill. You know, I mean, at $3,300 on just the FY24 budget. It's the extra part is getting that line item detail and
Right.
getting that line item budget ready for you guys, which we will implement for next year, but we gotta get it done for some historical numbers, so that as we start the fiscal year, we will have everything in place.
Right.
So,
Is that 12,000 for the project of doing the line item detail, or just the hours that were spent on it?
That's the hours so far spent on it.
The
I'd
hours
say
so far
that's
spent.
about 60%
Okay.
we're about a little over 60% over the project.
Okay.
I said that I was anticipating that it would be between 20 and 25,000.
Gotcha.
And I
To do
think
that.
we'll get in right around that $20,000.
Gotcha. So next month it'll probably be somewhere around
I'm gonna
8
say,
for that.
yeah, 8 to 10
Yeah.
next month. Yeah. If we will get it all done this month, but yes, it
Mhm.
would be, maybe July the 1st, whenever we have the key ready to turn on it. There's quite a bit of stuff that still has to be done to get us there.
If those are one-time charges to get our reporting down
Yes.
to a more detailed level.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Any questions for us? Item number 8, presentation of city attorney report and monthly invoice.
Worked on many of the things that have been on your last meeting and the meeting before that, and of course this meeting, including the Crow project. And been working with Jared too, not only on the two-way road, but some other strategic planning for those businesses. On planning and zoning, a meeting with the zoning committee, a meeting with planning commission, preparing and amending the sexual-oriented businesses ordinance, which you're gonna be seeing that first meeting in July. The planning commission will be seeing it in June. I amended the historic preservation ordinance, and I prepared all the notices for that and the TSC public hearing, which is the container, which you approved earlier in this agenda. I would say much of my work this month was really dealing with this 404 permit process and preparing a response. You know, when they put the notice out, there were 3 property owners that responded, and it was important for us to respond not only comprehensively on what our project was and what we had done and why it was sufficient, and to deal with the individual complaints or comments that came in, and that involved a detailed report with a bunch of attachments, and the city clerk helped me greatly in putting that document together. When I reviewed the Myers contract, I prepared the rules of termination for that. There's a poll agreement with the Verno Network, which is a private fiber line for Perry Schools. Kind of negotiated that with Verno Network principal. I amended the pool agreement. I helped with 2 regular city council agendas, the authority meetings, the city council special meeting, and of course the PFA holdings agenda, in which today I'm trying to see if we can secure a grant perhaps to do this asbestos removal. It could be up to $150,000 in savings if the timing works right. One of my other cities got 2 of those, and they get them pretty fast. And according to the person I spoke to today, they're issued after July 1st, so we very well may be able to get an application in and save, some real money. Attended collective bargaining sessions, prepared the TAP resolution, worked on the Shield Cross Trust case, prepared the disclaimer in that, prepared the tobacco ordinance, prepared the substance abuse policy, reviewed the collective bargaining agreements for their substance abuse policy, and drafted the 3 budget resolutions that are on the agenda this time. So a lot of work, but it's only been 3 weeks since I last made my report, so it didn't quite get down to the bottom of the page. But I did have that on the report then. Are there any questions? Thank you.
It's okay. All right. Let's go on to item number 9. Conduct public hearing on the proposed FY 2024-2025 general fund budget and other budgets of Perry governmental component entities, including the Perry Municipal Authority and the Perry Facilities Authority, receive input from the public, discuss revenues, transfers, expenditures, and all related financial issues. Here's our public hearing. I don't think we have anybody here for that. Is there a time limit we have to wait?
No. No, you open up the public hearing, and is there anyone that wants to speak? Then you close the public hearing.
And that is our public hearing. So with that, we will go on to item number 10. Consider approval of resolution number 2024-04 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, adopting and approving its fiscal year 2024-2025 general fund and other budgets, and appropriating the revenues for the stated proposes as contained in the budgets, directing the mayor, city manager, and city clerk to take any and all additional actions as may be required for the implementation of this budget. All right,
You ready for it?
we're ready. We got our popcorn. We're good to
So
go.
we've talked pretty extensively about this budget, which I think has been really good. Last week we went over some of the overview, bird's eye view of the budget. This week we wanted to take a dive into the capital projects. We have our directors here to present on the various projects that they're going to recommend. And we kind of have two options. As we're going through, I ask you guys to please ask questions, get comfortable with what they have to, present on, or if you're not comfortable, let them know why, so that we can go back. We can technically go back and we can actually approve all of this on the 17th, if it's not in line with what we want for tonight. But if it is in line with what we want for tonight, we can go ahead and just approve it at the end, which would be even more awesome.
It would be really awesome.
Yeah, so with that, I'll start. So I will come up here and do a bit of a presentation on the admin side of the capital projects budget. Tyson,
Right here, you start.
here we go. Hey. Awesome. Okay. So the total dollar amount that we're shooting for is the $238,000. It started a lot higher than that, and we cut a lot out. The first part is administration. I'm recommending a laptop for the city manager, myself. And the reason why is because I spend an average of 6 meetings outside my office per week. The cost for that laptop, there were two options. One was $1,200, the other's $1,027. I'm recommending that $1,027 laptop so that I can not use my personal laptop for outside meetings. Any questions on that? Okay. See, not too bad, right? So far. All right, the second thing is a MyExcel add-on. So the accounting software we use with the City of Perry is called Cassell. This MyExcel add-on actually links Cassell and Excel, which allows you to pull in numbers directly into Excel from Cassell. It's a really powerful tool that will save us a lot of time down the road, especially as we're restructuring budget. Yeah, Chrissy likes it a
Big
lot.
time.
And the it's actually really reasonably priced. $2,000 is the initial cost, and then it's $25 annually afterward.
This
I
is
know.
a month.
Sorry, go ahead.
This says 25 a month.
Yeah, did I?
You said a year, 25 a year.
Oh,
Yeah, you're annually on this.
I think it is. It is. Whoops. Sorry, there we go. Yeah, I think it's annually, 25.
Annually?
Yeah, so it's really reasonable. I know some council members have asked about Cassell and whether we should continue utilizing Cassell versus looking at some other options. There are a couple of other options that we could look at. They are very, very expensive to implement. After you implement them, they're more reasonable, but I will say that by leaps and bounds, Cassell is the least expensive option for local government accounting. Spanish Fork City, the city I came from, which was a city of 50,000, was still using Cassell, and we were thinking about making the jump to some of these other ones, but even with a $200 million budget, we still were hesitant. I would recommend continuing with Cassell for the near future, and so I think the add-on is a great option. Any questions on that one? All right. Next one, I'm recommending a administration summer intern. The reason why is because I am finding myself swamped with so many things to do and so many things that I want to do and not enough time to do those things. Just off the top of my head, I made a list of the things I would like to do and haven't had time to do so far. You can see those 10 items there. Some of them are analyzing employee climate surveys, analyzing resident opinion surveys, getting a list of things that we would want on an employee type portal on our website, getting project updates, looking into additional accounting softwares that can coordinate and work with Cassell. Let's see, social media posts, just things that I'm doing or would like to be doing all the time and just do not have time to do. And so I'm recommending that we fund a summer intern to help me with some of these projects. What it would look like is about a 12-week internship, pay them $15 an hour, making it a total of about $5,000 a year, $2,500 for each fiscal year, because the summer would split it pretty much in half, right? So that's my thought. I'm guessing there's some questions on this one. Okay.
What
Is
would,
it- go ahead.
what would be the selection process for that?
Yeah, good question. So we'd post it like any other position, summer internship. I could reach out to contacts I have with BYU, which is where I did my graduate program, but I'm not opposed to reaching out to other schools as well. I would just want to know what kind of program they had in place, because my expectation would be that they would be able to do these projects that I'm asking. And so yeah, the selection process would look like any other part-time job, where we send out a job description and say, hey, this is how you apply. Apply by this date, and then we would interview. So,
When would this internship start?
May.
Of
so-
next year?
Correct, yes.
So this would be between fiscal years,
Exactly.
kind of overlapping.
Yep. Yeah, so really, technically, you would just, right now, you're just approving the 2,500 for this next fiscal year, FY '25.
When would you start taking this and everything?
Sorry, say it again.
When would you start taking these applications and looking for this person?
February. If you wanna get a jump on interns, February is typically the time to reach out for summer internships. That's when students are thinking about that kind of thing. If we really wanted to get an earlier start, you could do January, but in my experience, students are still trying to figure out what they want to do in January. Their classes have just started, right, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we learned at work that if you wait too late, you don't get any applicants.
Right, yeah.
So there's lots of really exciting things on that list. Are you hopeful that this intern can help us figure out a way to do those continuously? Or are those things just gonna happen each year while we have an intern?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the hope would be that they're at least implementing process, writing an SOP, so that anyone can take over after them and do that. That being said, I think we have staff that could do this type of thing. The issue is time, right? So right now it would be something continuously that we did so that so that they had time to actually do these things. Now if staff hours were cleared up, say we hired, an additional staff member or something, those SOPs would already be in place so that they could implement them.
So part of this is building processes to enable a more consistent delivery.
Yeah, because a lot of this hasn't been done before, right?
Yeah.
At least here in the city of Perry, so it'd be, I think, really exciting and good for us to get feedback from the community. I know that's something that we've talked about, and it's something that you're interested in as a council.
So you and I discussed some possibly part-time needs for things that are year-round. Is that included anywhere in the budget beyond?
Can you say what you're referring to specifically?
One we talked about, other needs like the music and film and music. things and
It's not, because there's some lack of oversight on my part on that, but I have reached out to the person that you and I had talked about and said, hey, can you come up with a proposal and send it my way? So I am moving forward with that, but in terms of concrete numbers and built into the budget,
Just didn't know if some of these would fit in that, consistent. some of these items as well, you know,
Yeah.
could fit in that.
Yeah, I think that's right on. Yeah, and these aren't necessarily a list of exactly what I would have them do, but just over the last 2 months that I've been here, it's been like, oh man, I wish I could do these things, and I just listed them. So again, not comprehensive here, but I think definitely this would be some of the things that an intern would do,
So with
in
that-
addition to other things.
So we're paying them $15 an hour for 12 weeks. I mean, if they're coming from BYU as opposed to like somewhere local like OSU or you know, are they covering their own transportation? Where are they staying? They have like,
Yeah, so my thought was, there's a couple of options. We do have some caretaker places where they could stay. For example, the CCC Lake would be one option where they could stay for those 12 weeks, help with some of the park stuff there.
then are we charging them rent or they?
I was
are we
thinking
providing
that
their-
we would pay them less money and give them free rent.
Gotcha.
But I wasn't planning on paying for transportation. That would be really atypical. Normally you would expect them to get down by themselves.
I was just wondering if there's other costs that were gonna come along with that we weren't anticipating.
I would personally prefer that we post for the job and the best candidate gets it no matter what university they come from.
Right.
I love that idea. Any other thoughts about this? Is this something that you feel comfortable with? I know when money's tight, it's hard to justify like an internship, right? I think of my list that the things I'm gonna be asking for, this is probably the hardest one. So I'm open. I mean, tell me if this isn't a good idea this year.
I'd say if you're looking to do it in like February, could we reevaluate this in like October when we do our, because you wanted to kind of look at the budget again in
Yep.
October, right?
Yep, for raises specifically, yep.
Because we can always make amendments to the budget,
Mhm.
kind of have this on a, you know, if we're looking good, it's something we can entertain, but. I don't know.
I think you evaluate the numbers, and if it doesn't make sense,
Right.
you probably wouldn't do it, so hopefully we can evaluate that, like you said.
Right, but I do like the specific direction of, hey, this is one that we would really like to see again, you know, brought up in February, so.
Is
Or
there
October.
some grant opportunities that would be specific for something like that?
There, maybe I could look into it.
Right.
I know some graduate schools do help subsidize the salaries of interns because they want their students to have amazing experiences, and so they're willing to pay a little bit. I could reach out and ask which schools do that.
I like this idea because I like the partnerships with the schools, because then you're getting, you know, when we're looking for, you know, people in our, you know, electricians or other departments, so we have that partnership with the school already. It's a good way to network.
May I also interject one thing? Remember, as we're talking about these capital projects and the things as they're coming on, these things aren't all going to be implemented July 1, and every dollar going to be
Right.
spent, guys. This is kind of that piece that, this is for the entire year. So between July 1 and June 30th, this is where we're trying to go in total. We will implement those then in priority, in Nate's priority and in, you know, availability of funds kind of situation. You know, things are tight. There's $230,000 of capital projects on this list. Funds get tight, we may only do $100,000 of it next year. You know what I'm saying? That's where you're empowering Nate to manage the budget. You guys are gonna lay out, hey, these goals meet what we want, and now, and these are our priorities inside that piece. But Nate,
To that
whatever,
point,
there's not money, don't go spend
a
it.
lot of these are projects that we have to approve later for those expenditures, but this fits within his,
Yeah.
this fits within his
With
own
his
abilities to do,
Spending, I guess.
so.
Yeah, great points. All right, well, it sounds like I'll bring this back up in a future month to see, you know, if we're on track, and we'll go from there. All right, the next thing that I'm proposing is, in the council chambers, we obviously have very small screens for you elected officials to see, and people who aren't here but could be here, to see kind of what we're presenting about. Especially when we're talking budget and there's, you know, small cells and numbers and things like that. I would really like to see something a little bit bigger to allow you elected officials to see what's going on. So what we're proposing, and we are looking at some other options, but this is the best option we found so far, is two 65-inch screens to replace these small ones. I don't remember what size these were, maybe 42. So 65 would be quite a bit bigger. The other thing about these ones is, I think if I remember right, Tyson said they're fairly antiquated. So the newer screens would allow
Casting and,
things like that. So I'm recommending $900 total allocation to go towards the screens, or at least a solution that makes it easier for you elected officials to see. Branding. So one thing that is really, really helpful for all companies, including municipalities, is branding. When I talk to our department directors, one thing I hear over and over again is they're having a hard time finding people to fill positions, and they're having a hard time retaining people in those positions. It's very, very expensive to hire. Experts estimate that it's about 30% of someone's salary every time you lose them and have to replace them, because you're paying for onboarding, you're paying for the interviewing process, you're paying for training, you're paying for uniforms a lot of times. So it's very expensive to do. One way that I recommend we do this is through better branding at the city. Companies that are well known are very, very good at this. So for example, you can see this picture here. Google sends all their new employees what's called a Noogler box. Noogler meaning new Googler, right? And so it has some swag and things like that in the box to help the employee feel excited about working there. They wear the shirt, they have pens, they have, you know, all these things that that get them excited, and then they're out and about in that stuff, and people see it and they're like, oh, you work for Google? Tell me about it. We need something like that in Perry. And departments are doing it to a certain extent right now. Some of the departments are actually using their own funds to do this in terms of like personal funds. I know Brian Wheatley goes out and buys hats and gives them to his employees with the City of Perry logo. I'm proposing $500 to go towards branding, and specifically I would like to implement some kind of new hire box for our full-time employees to help with this. So, questions on that?
And so that would just be for new employees?
Correct, yeah. I would like to start giving out stuff at like the Christmas party and things like that to get it to older employees too, but it would be too expensive to, you know, buy it 80 boxes.
older employees.
You meant current, right?
Yes, yes. Current. That's what I meant. Other questions? All right. Emergency manager. So the state mandates that cities need to have a designated emergency manager. That's something that we do not have. Our prior emergency manager was Russell Brand, who was our prior fire chief, and he did both of those roles. We're actually recommending that we fund a new position that isn't a dual position like that, and we actually are wanting to use Russell for this because he has the experience in writing FEMA grants and things like that. He has the experience monitoring disasters. He's really interested in doing stuff like this. And the thought behind this is that we would pay him a monthly retainer for kind of base tasks that he performs. And we're still in the process of figuring out what those tasks would look like. But just the basic things to monitor storms, to do the things that we need to maintain an emergency management plan. And then anything on top of that, say, you know, we did have a tornado hit Perry or something, he would work on an hourly rate in the event of a disaster. So what we've looked at would be about $5,500 a year for those base costs if you know, we had a true emergency, it would obviously be more than that, and we'd have to pull that money from somewhere else and put it towards that, which, in the event of a true emergency, which I think we experienced in January, I think we were probably pulling a lot of money from different places and throwing it towards that emergency. So that's pretty normal. Questions there?
You said the state doesn't require it, but they are recommending?
No, they do.
They do.
Yeah,
It is a requirement.
correct, yeah. So we are currently out of compliance.
In our noble, the, yeah.
Okay.
And his current employer is okay with a second job?
Yeah, great question. So he has talked to his current employer, and they said, well, in the event of an emergency, school would be canceled, and so you could spend as much time as you needed in this capacity. So the answer is yes, yeah, they are okay.
Just curious, how long have we been not compliant?
Since Russell was gone.
Oh, okay, so he was there before, okay.
Yeah.
Missed that, sorry.
There are other towns that do have a part-time emergency manager. It's not the fire chief. But there are a lot that do have the combo as the fire chief and the emergency management. But we did find out when we had the ice storm, that took a lot, Ed can say, a lot of Russell's time, and plus trying to do his daily duties as the fire chief.
And frankly, if we were to, you know, make Ben the emergency manager, there would be the expectation there that we did pay him additionally. So it's not like we wouldn't be saving money by doing that. So the advantages of pulling someone who isn't a current full-time employee elsewhere is, I think, are really high.
So would this be an annual contract, or how would the actual employment be set up?
Yeah, so we're still working through the details, but the thought would be something like, kind of like we have with Matt Coe, right, where he's our city engineer. He works off of a contract basis, but he's also, that contract dictates that he's on retainer for us. So we would do the same thing here, where we would get a contract from Russell that said, hey, I'll work for this amount every month, and then this would be my rate on top of that in the event of, you know, you telling me, hey, we need you to do X, Y, and Z above and beyond your normal duties. Anything else on this? Alright. I think this is my last slide for me.
I'm gonna ask a question,
Oh, yeah.
it's coming to my mind. I know we have a county emergency manager, do they work together, or
Yes.
does the county emergency manager not count over the city?
Yeah, the county doesn't count. In fact, they've told us very explicitly they don't want us utilizing their emergency manager in the way that you would normally. And the reason behind that is liability. If Jim, it's Jim, right?
Yeah.
If Jim tells our employees, hey, you need to do this right now because of this thing, and something goes bad, they're liable for, you know, we could come back and say, hey, well, your emergency manager told us to do this. So they've made it very clear to me within the last couple of weeks that they don't want us utilizing him in that capacity, but they are open, and I think it's pretty typical, they are open to working together. You know, having our manager there with him, monitoring a storm or something like that would be really
We worked
normal.
together in a lot of aspects, but when we had the ice storm, he was there to help back him up, but he, in the day-to-day process of working with the city to get things turned into like FEMA applications, we would need somebody on our side of things.
Just curious.
Yeah,
Working
good
and
question.
getting
Okay,
things
there's
done.
people out there wondering that.
Getting things
Good
done, yes,
question.
they would work together in the end, but the after effect of getting the paperwork and things done would be our emergency management person.
Yeah, great question. The final thing I have that I recommend is that $600 be allocated for a budget retreat in February. The thought behind that is that instead of doing this type of presentation in a council meeting, we would do something like this at the budget retreat, where we would not only go over 1 year's goals, but maybe like a 5-year plan for departments to look far ahead. I feel like, I was telling my wife today, the last 2 months for me have felt just so reactive, and I'm really excited for the day when things are less reactive and more proactive, and this is a step in that direction. So that $600 would go into mostly, really mostly meals for everybody who's in that meeting all day long, which would be pretty much everybody here. So, questions on that? Preferences on food? Just kidding, we can talk about that later. Okay.
You've been working with us for a while now, can you tell?
So that's all I have with that. I'll turn the slides over to please. And I will sit back and eat popcorn.
So Nate told me I couldn't have a private jet or helicopter, so we won't go into that. So, I just go down?
Just press the right arrow.
There. Okay. So, as you guys know, currently, we just got 2 guys out of the police academy. I'm so thankful. We're pretty much full staff. We got 15 officers, but we got 14 cars. So, Nate and I have been talking, and he said, well, I think you can probably get 20 grants what he's gonna shoot for, and I'm like, okay. So, I'm a big, Sammy knows, I'm a big garage sale guy. I'll go out and try to find the best deals there are. We actually made contact with Emergency Resource Vehicles out of Claremore. The last 2 cars we bought were brand new, the Durangos from them. And so I made contact with Brandon, and the picture there kind of shows the car that is available right now. It's what I'm trying to do, and it kind of happened by coincidence, when we got the black cars, which we were all white, I kind of went back with Muskogee PD. All their admin drive black cars and patrol drive white. And that's kind of what I'm wanting to keep it, since we do have black cars. All the admin guys are in black vehicles right now. So this was available, it's white. I did go to the Chiefs Conference 2 weeks ago, and I talked to all the vendors that were selling cars. Right now, a car like mine, the Ford Explorers, state bid are $42,000 to $44,000 new. The Durangos are $44,000 to $47,000, and the Tahoes are $55,000 to $57,000. And that's just the car. Now you're gonna have to spend $10,000 to $12,000 just to put lights in it, the cages in it. This one is used. For what we need, one more car. It's fully equipped, it's got the cages, it's got even a computer mounts, it has gun mounts. You see, did we put that? No, we didn't put that picture in there. I just, there, I'm going to your stuff.
Go ahead, present.
Go ahead. So,
What year is that?
this is a 2018. And, right now, I mean, I flat told the guy, I said I have 20,000. He does have it advertised for 21.5. But I think I can play the game, say, hey, if you want 20, we've got it, but that's also approval with you guys as well. But that would get us, it has 70,000 miles. I've got 18 on mine, and the only problem I've had, the door said it wasn't closed, which it was, and they went in and it was a switch inside the door. I think possibly some moisture got in there. And that's the only thing I've ever had a problem with my car, and it's 4 years old now. So.
What kind of mileage do you typically get out of a car?
This is mine, it's a 6-cylinder.
Before you start having a lot of issues.
That I don't know, because Dudry's got a little more miles because he's done a lot of traveling and stuff. I think he's possibly at 22,000 to my 18,000. We got him at the same time. His has never been in the shop yet. So they're a great car. The Dodge Chargers that we have were the best thing ever when we got them in 2016. But this has killed me this year, and I've gone to Nate and I've apologized, because our cars are at Sam's every day getting fixed. There's just, that's all we have right now. But you gotta understand, we need a car. It's an emergency vehicle. If you got an emergency, somebody's got your kid and they're beating them up, get here now, click, 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 car won't start. Our cars have to be able to get going to emergencies. It's same with them. An ambulance needs to run, they're out there maintenance and their equipment every day, so.
As a hope or as a policy or a guideline, what mileage do you try to look to go, okay, I've got to get rid of this one now
Right.
and move on to a
What's
new
the
one?
lifespan of our
The
vehicle?
best agency in the United States is Kansas Highway Patrol. They do not let one car go on the road if it has 50,000 above. They email their headquarters when they're at 42,000, they're already building them a new car. We try to get Kansas cars, but everybody in the nation knows those cars are fully equipped and under 50,000. You're on a waiting list for 4 to 6 months to get a car from Kansas because everybody wants them. So I used to feel so bad. When we go out for fuel, we get on the radio and tell our dispatch we're out for fuel, our unit number, we tell them how many gallons and miles. There's times we're out with, our unit 1, mileage 206,000 when we had the Crown Vics. That's when everybody in Scannerland could hear us and they go, you got cars at 206,000? Yeah, that's all we got, so. But I've always tried to get a car rotation program. It's a lot of money, and I understand that. When we come for cars, I hate doing it. They're just so expensive, but we have to have the cars to respond to emergencies. But for what the money is for this, for a used vehicle, you're buying somebody else's car, but it's something, if we need to get it fixed, we'll put some more money in the budget for maintenance. But it is fully equipped. That's what's nice about it for that price.
We let all of our officers take their vehicles home, right? They don't leave them here?
If you live in town,
If you live in town?
yes.
Okay.
And just to clarify one thing on this, you aren't necessarily approving this vehicle. That's an option that we're looking at.
Right.
And we're strongly considering, but really what we're looking at is, we're asking your approval for the $20,000.
The X amount of dollars.
Yes. And then this is just a picture of a vehicle that is available right now.
Yeah, so we do still have a little bit of work to do to determine if this is the deal we want to take. But the 20,000 is what we recommend allocating for a
But to
police car.
follow Russ's train of thought, this may be one of those items that's spent right away versus the intern, which is February here.
Yeah, because we're down one car right now.
So any other questions or? Okay, thank you guys.
That's the only thing you're wanting is.
Oh, don't get. You want to leave before midnight, let's let everybody else talk. That's really our main priority right
He's
now.
already been beat down, that's.
Yeah, he had to vet it through me, so I crossed off a bunch of stuff, and that's what you're getting.
Okay.
This is the filtered version already.
You're welcome. You only have one bag of popcorn.
I didn't get a bag. Does anybody not get to eat theirs?
Why did you get 8
No,
slides?
here.
I know.
Because I improved my own.
I'm not eating mine.
If you're looking at one money, I need a ladder truck.
He's ready.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of what we're looking for here is basically we're looking for the 15,000. And what we're looking for here is back when we had the Department of Labor come and inspect, they did find the water damage inside the building. When they went in there to look, we had to get a mold test and did come back positive. Department of Labor inspector wasn't too concerned about the mold because basically what you can make sure I'm telling this right, but we'll find mold in most buildings we go into, but you have to stop the water. So we did that. We went outside and what we found is, I don't know what you call those boards, Joe or Scott may know what those boards, but basically those rock boards, the front board you see in the fire station, there were gaps about that big and all that caulking was completely just rotted out. You can actually see all the way through and see drywall. So we got all that taken care of. We feel pretty good with the roof we took care of. And the caulking job and the new windows up on the front part of this, on the upstairs, I think we got the water stopped. The $15,000 though is one of the bids we had, one of the lowest bids we had was to go to fix that mold, to have that moved out. But what that didn't put in there was the rebuild. He's going to tear out all those wood lockers, all that drywall, the kitchens have to come back out to get to the mold and then build it back. After talking to one particular contractor, he's actually going to come up tomorrow. He's supposed to be here today, but I think it's going to be tomorrow. What he's saying is we stopped the water, then we basically stopped the mold from growing. He thinks about within 6 months that mold should be dead. And we're pretty confident we're going to look tomorrow to make sure we did for sure stop that water. If all this rain, we should see something, we have some water. So if we don't have to apply that 15,000 to stop that, to get that mold out, that's gonna die on its own. One of the things we like to apply is we'll fix some things. The one things I wanna look for are upstairs. I don't know if you can tell us in these pictures, but we got plaster coming off the wall, ceilings coming down. That classroom is our only way of training. Right now, when we do a training, we either find something we can do outside, we bring everybody into the dispatch and we do some stuff there. I would love to get that upstairs back in shape where we can actually start hosting class and not just for sales, but actually have other agencies in. Our rural department or our rural association used to meet upstairs, and it's turned into a storage area now. We've gone through there, we looked through everything, we got some things that we want to surplus. We've got that list going, but I need to go up there. So if we don't have to go in there and spend the money to get the mold's gonna take care of itself. We like to go ahead and put that money towards somewhere. But if we have to go through there, that 15,000 is just gonna cost, that's the cost of just treating the mold. That's not to tear out and then build back. So, but 15,000 is what we have to work for. So if we can't do it this year, we have to do it, we need to put that 15,000 back and start building that up until it may be a 2-year process before we can get that taken care of. But fingers crossed, I think we have that taken care of, and that will take care of itself. For the ceiling, we had, was it Red Roof? Well, they fixed some leaks and stuff here. They came back out and did another assessment. And they hadn't come back out. They're looking about $1,900 to go. And I can't remember exactly what everything he was saying, but that's just for more patchwork. So part of that 15,000 go to that. The flooring, I don't know if you guys have ever been up there, but that used to be the old bunkhouse. Had the little fire pole and everything in there. We don't know what we'll take out, or what we'll find. We take out that carpeting. Trying to level that floor lane back out is best to go back with carpet. But we think we can, within that 15,000, I think we can handle getting all that stuff taken care of, the ceiling back up. But again, the contractor's gonna be back up here hopefully tomorrow to give us a for sure answer on what that would cost. If we don't have to take care of the mold. We're hoping that mold, like I said, hope it's gonna be gone. So, any questions on that?
So what determines if the mold's gonna take care of itself or not?
Basically, if we stop the water, they were saying, as long as it's not getting the water, it's not getting the air they need, then it should die, is what I've been told. I'm not a mold expert, but that's what he's saying. So we're gonna come in there, and we're gonna make sure, he's gonna get back up in there and make sure there's no more water coming through.
And so we can meet all of our requirements by just waiting? Is that what we're saying?
That's what we're hoping for on that.
Well, on the Department of Labor, the mold itself was not the violation, it was the water infiltration. So as of right now, I think we got one item that we're waiting for it to clear, and once it's done, we have met all requirements from the DOL.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Instead of stand-up job,
It's
getting that
been
done, this is a new fire chief.
It's
Welcome.
Day one. Hey, what you can do it. But no, it's been interesting. And there are a lot of things out there. Like I said, we're hoping that's going to take care of the mold.
And if it does, we think the 15,000 will pay for the 3 things on that list?
We're hoping. That's what we have available to us. So if it doesn't get all of it, we'll apply that 15,000, or we'll wait to get what we can with it, or we'll put it back for next year's cost. But we're wanting to hold that 15,000 to do what we need to do. I just said something, sorry. Any questions on that? So this came back a little bit cheaper. We originally thought it was going to be around $700 to $1,000 for new badges. So what's happened with our badges? We currently don't have enough badges for the ranks and positions that we have. A lot of the badges got, when like Tim Moxley and Matt Lumbers retired, they were given their badges. Russell took his badge and he retired. Those are never about that. Those are something we do after 20 years of service. I think you've earned your badge. Take it. So that's pretty well tradition. So to get the 3 badges that we're needing, we're looking at $265. So I just got that today. We thought it was going to be a little bit higher than that, but we went ahead and put it in here. So, any questions? So the structural firefighting gear. So the Malzahn Foundation bought these things back in 2020. They bought everybody brand new structure gear. These things have a 10-year lifespan according to NFPA 1971. They can only, like I said, they can only go for 10 years. So we don't start, next year is actually the year that we start replacing them. I think that was the original plan with the Malzahn Foundation when they did buy these, that we start replacing 3 sets of gear every year after that. Our plan is that we can do 1 this year and 2 next year. It kind of alleviates that cost for next year, but next year we will have to start replacing 3 sets. And that will keep everybody within compliance. So, they're about $3,700 a set, and they're expensive. But they take a lot of abuse. It's not just so much the firefighting abuse too. It's they say that for the 10 years because the light from just being inside the bays, that all breaks down that gear. So that's why they give you your 10-year limit. Okay. Station furniture. Brian hates the furniture. So this furniture, right now we have 3 reclining love seats and they are completely broken down. They're not even that old. They're only 3 years. We bought them from BBC Furniture when they were here. Within, I think it was the first year, we already had to go through a warranty process to get them fixed. All they did was send us the cables and everything and fix them ourselves, and they're not even in business and they're out of warranty by now. So, but they are completely broken down. What I'm looking for here, looking for 6 recliners instead of the love seats, and they're out of what's called Fire Station Outbuilder. These recliners they're heavy built. They're designed for your firehouses. They got the metal on them. So they're a little rough on things, I get it, but they should hold up. That's kind of what the claim of fame is they'll hold up to the firehouse abuse. About $4,800 for 6 of them. We was looking at doing the recliners, the love seats again, but the guy talked me into spending a little bit more money, as long as you guys are good for it. And the reason why I think it will save us money in the long run, if one breaks down, we don't have to replace the whole entire love seat. We just replace one recliner. So they do come with, I believe, a 1-year warranty on them. I have to go double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
And you're not gonna put these guys out of business like you did?
No. These guys they're actually out of New York.
Okay.
So
You can put them out of business.
We'll put them out of business. Hope we keep them in business. Anyways, from what I looked at and everything I've seen, this is kind of where people go for firehouses, buy their furniture. It's just made not only more, it's just heavy duty furniture. So, besides the love seats, we took about 24 measurements, and we kept coming up with different numbers. They'll fit, they won't fit, they fit, they won't fit. These will for sure fit. So, any questions? So our firefighting helmets, again, back when Tim Moxley and Matt Lumbers and Russell all retired, their helmets were given to them for the 20 years or plus for service. Those will never be replaced. And that up along with the fact that we are in the department and we haven't had guys promote quite yet, we're out of firefighting helmets. Matter of fact, we're looking for 3 call firefighters right now. I don't even have the helmets to give to them. So I need to get the 3 firefighter helmets. Nobody, basically kind of a history here. The deputy chiefs and mine right now, they wore the captain's helmets, and when we created the deputy chief position, those helmets went with them, just got new helmet fronts. So there is no more captain helmets. We currently have 1 captain right now. I'm asking for 3, that way we have them. They're here, somebody promotes, we have them. The other option is if we can just buy them as we need them. I can't tell you when that would be. So, but I'm trying to get these things stocked back up where we can start promoting guys and giving them the right gear. So, my helmet's still my helmet now I need to replace my helmet. I want to keep mine. I don't want to give mine up. I want to get a new helmet front, but the new deputy chief, I'm gonna have to buy one to replace what Russell took. So, looking at The Tim helmet fronts currently right now, as you can see on that picture right there, most of our guys are all recruits. They're fixing to come out. We've actually kept guys long enough where they're coming out of the recruit phase. They need to get new helmet fronts. It's going to accept their name and their rank. I got 3 lieutenant positions I'm hoping to have filled. The captain and mine, we're going to need new helmet fronts along with them. So total combined, looking about $3,800 to get the helmet and the nameplate up front. And that should get us all the helmets and the name fronts we need.
So one actual helmet is $410.
Yep.
Just for one helmet.
One helmet.
And you can change out, I guess, the helmet fronts, you can change those out.
The helmet fronts we can change out until they promote. Then you gotta go to a different color, and the reason for that is, it gives you, I don't know if you've ever been on a fire ground, but Joe can tell you, everybody looks the same, when they go match up, you can't tell, and you can't identify who's who. The different color helmets let you know from a distance, hey, I have an officer over here. You see got two yellow helmets, you've got firefighters, and you see that black or that red helmet, okay, I know I have an officer going with those guys. That's what we try to do. So that's what it's for identification. People know we have somebody there that's an officer that can go do those things. So the helmet fronts just ties those helmets together. And then I can't tell you how many times I have 3 guys talking to me, and without the name up there, I can't even tell who they are. I got the mask on, and it hides your identity. So, anyway, that's where I'm at on that.
Do they have a shelf life? Do the helmets have a shelf life like the rest of the equipment, or is it as long as you're willing to keep it and maintain it, or?
I think as long as it's maintained. Yeah. I do not personally know about the helmet on that. The main thing is as long as it doesn't have any physical damage. But the Nomex portion of the gear is why that has a shelf life on it. That chemical they use to fireproof it.
No hard hats have an expiration date.
They probably do. I honestly, I just don't know about the helmets.
Fire helmets, I'm assuming there is a shelf life.
I would assume that if there is, it's probably about that 10-year period as well. I'll double check on that. Any questions on that? That's it.
Nice.
Okay,
Thank you.
I don't want to infer that the city shouldn't pay all this stuff, but I just want to tell a quick story. My wife and I went to the McLeod Blackberry Festival and didn't realize it, but they no longer grow blackberries there. They buy them in from somewhere else. But one of the cool things is the McLeod Fire Department had a booth set up. And I can't remember what fun thing they were gonna buy for each, but they were selling T-shirts. And they were a cool T-shirt that had like the shield on the front. It said McLeod Fire Department. And I bought one, paid way too much for it. Felt good walking away from it that it was gonna go to something good. And so I don't have any idea how much work that is, but you know, when you have a crowd like our Cherokee Strip celebration, I mean, if you had somebody selling some T-shirts.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to design something that's not uniform. We've had incidents of people imitating firefighters here, so I want to make sure. I think it's a great idea. I just want to make sure it's.
Yeah.
So don't wear your shirt to a fire.
Furniture and things like that used to be subsidized with deer tags years ago and stuff like
They
that.
don't. They quit paying for that.
But they quit paying for that, right?
Yeah,
So-
and we don't, that's why we got rid of it. So.
But I think the point they're making is there might be alternative methods for some revenues.
Yeah.
For like the rescue tools you wanted that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, something that wasn't on this list that you guys still want to do.
Appreciate the thought, yeah.
$25, $30 a pop for a T-shirt.
Yeah.
There's some profit in there.
Yeah, we had a question. So on that first budget that you guys gave us, you had that AC system, right?
Oh.
Is that?
Yeah, that was a note and put on this year.
Okay.
It ran out.
It was moved forward.
We moved it to FY 24 to pay it and
Oh,
reimburse.
okay.
Right.
I guess
Yeah,
it
it is
was-
getting taken care of.
Yeah.
It broke in this year's, replaced it this year, so.
It didn't seem right to
Carry it over.
Yeah.
carry it on
Yeah.
next year's
Yeah.
budget.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's
Thanks,
10
first
years
budget.
on the helmets.
Do what, I'm sorry?
It's 10 years on the helmets. I looked.
I had a feeling it was. So those are actually starting.
So rotation program.
Well, with the previous helmets, that starts that process.
Thank you,
Gosh,
Ben.
it's me now.
You ready?
No.
All right.
Oh, Christie.
All right.
I know you mean. And I'm,
Can't say
don't
it.
look over there.
Say no.
Stand up, Christie.
I'm trying.
We need a stool.
No.
Do you want to put a stool in your budget?
I'll have to stand over here. As you can see, we need a shredder. I had to do the comical thing. Come on, guys. Shredder. A lot of you young people have no idea who that is. But in payroll, when I was back there, we did have a shredder that was designated only for payroll. That way, nothing that personal ever left that room. It was all stayed back there. It died here about a month ago. So in order to keep that sensitive stuff staying in the payroll, to get a shredder back there. I like my shredder, I'm sorry guys. The other thing we're looking for is, I would like to get equivalent of around $3,000 for updates for City Hall. One picture I did not get on here is from our electric issue upstairs. Would like to get electric upstairs, get that fixed. We did have could have a fire. We were sitting there one day, my light goes out in my office. We go upstairs, and one of the balances had actually gone on fire up there. Put itself out, it's good, thank God, because that is nothing but, fuel for fire up there, because it's all paper. We'd like to get that, go in and have it redone, have the electric redone upstairs, that way we can actually utilize the upstairs a little better. Get some paint, get some of that handling covered. Some carpet, we're gonna get some quotes on that. Getting some of this done to help with our organizing and stuff like that. One of the things that I also have been working on is in the back where it used to be the clerk's office, which where Bryce and Russ are sitting now, turning that into a smaller conference room. So that paint and stuff would be going towards updating that area as well. Like to get a conference table for that back there, a large conference room chairs. That one room in there, we have mixed match chairs. It would be nice to have something sort of like similar to what we have in here. So when we have investors in city, we look like a little more organized. And one of the things I have this is I love you guys, and I said it, too. Would like to look at getting some new council chairs. These can be a little tricky sometimes. So we looked at looking at some options to get those. I mean, there are other avenues. OSU has their overstock that we can look at. They have that every now and then. And Ditch Witch sometimes will have things that they have overflow, and there's other avenues. I think OMAG also has that as well. But looking at some of that stuff, the $3,000 would help with some of our updates. The fire hazard, electricity, updating our carpet. I mean, one of the pictures, we have 3 different types of carpet there, and we're all held down by duct tape. It's real pretty when you gotta bring somebody in and you're trying to get them to invest in your town, and you got 3 different types of carpet and duct tape everywhere. It'd be nice to be able to have a more presentable place to have those types of meetings. So again, that one. For municipal court, they do fall under me as well. Municipal court has a very small monitor that they're working off of. We'd like to get them to match the same ones like we use at City Hall, a bigger monitor, and give her dual monitors so she's got a more efficient area to work in, and then updating her chair. Right now, the one she is using is a hand-me-down that is starting to have issues as well. And this way, just give her a safer chair so it doesn't, she can't lean back in it. It's kind of like these, you gotta be careful. But we'd like, the monitors are my biggest thing. I would really like to see her get the dual monitors so she can work more efficiently. As someone who actually worked in the courts at one time, it is very hard sometimes to get done on that small screen that she does have.
And that happens in this room?
It's in there,
Yeah. In her.
right in the next room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
I guess I would comment, we talked earlier about branding. the way your facilities look has got an awful lot to do with what your brand is.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to impress someone or hire somebody.
How much effort are we really gonna put into them? I mean, we've worked with it, we do it. Our main focus is we're really trying to get some of that cleaned up and all the clutter out. And right now, we're very limited upstairs because we can't turn on very many lights up there. There's only a few that still work. And, you know, we tell everybody else to fix their buildings. Well, it's time for us to fix ours.
So what's the total money for all of that?
Well, we're gonna do it slowly. It's not something we're gonna do big. We're looking at, you know, at least a $3,000 limit each year. Whether we use that all at once or not, it's not gonna happen. Slowly get the paint done. We'll do the painting.
It looked like it would near cover all.
The carpet, you know, that's gonna be a slow process itself. We did what you see at City Hall right now in the front for $25,000. We are really good at finding the prices and doing some of the work ourselves. We have a group of people at City Hall who are like, give me a paintbrush. Parks have talked to us during the winter. They need, you know, extra things. But the $3,000 would just give us something to work with each year.
You say 25,000 or 2,500
For what?
For the front.
for the front?
For the front, it was 25,000.
25,000, okay. To do the whole front there.
Did the whole front.
Just be enclosed or separated.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah. And we all thank you for your support. Yeah. So, thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Christie. Yeah, I appreciate that. I know, like, since coming in as mayor, like, I don't like meeting with people at City Hall. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with City Hall, but you take them in that big open room and there's, the carpet's just.
Carpet's
Yeah,
1970.
you can tell when you're trying to talk to people that you're inviting to the city and they're kind of looking
They're
around, like,
looking around.
where am I?
That's why our focus right now is working on getting the smaller room back there for the smaller meetings. That one's gonna be pretty easy. Critter's gonna come in, we're gonna close off a wall, we're moving a bunch of file cabinets out for one room. So we're gonna open up that room and then be able to, you know, paint and carpet.
Well, it sounds like if your lights are going off and on, the electrical should be your number one thing.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
especially if they've already caught fire.
One thing I've been suggesting, I mean, I realize we can't do the whole building at once, but if we're
Right.
doing a section,
Small.
let's do it right.
Yeah.
And that was my idea. I
Yeah.
pitched it to Nate when he first got there. I said, here's my idea.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I want to be able to utilize the space that we do have. People say, you know, I need a new building. Ours, yeah, we probably could, but we can also fix what we have and use it for what we have.
Right.
Just make the small updates and get it done. Because I know when we did the front, some of our biggest issue was the electrical
Yeah.
issue, so.
I think that's a good principle just to carry across all of our facilities, that when you're looking at the budgets, you know, if you can do a section, we can't get everybody a new building, but if you can do a section at a time, let's do those right the first time rather than kind of just patching things.
Well, that's our goal at City Hall, so.
Okay.
Pam, you ready?
Not really. But I have popcorn. Those are small bags.
That's right.
It is, I'm trying to butter them up.
Oh, did you bring popcorn?
Yeah, the one came from Marguerite.
We don't need to go any further, it's approved.
I know, right?
Well, another bag.
Whatever you want, man, it's yours.
Man, I wish I'd have thought.
You can probably just leave that with Randy.
No, we're gonna pass that on. Joe eats the popcorn. I'm looking like I'm on my third bag. They're small bags.
They're very small bags. Okay, let's go. And the good news is, I don't even want a bookmobile. Okay, so I love this historic building. It's one of our regular patrons reading a book. Before I arrived, there were moisture problems. There are still moisture problems. But we're gonna start with the good news first. The Progress Club is using donated funds to have the 40 exterior windows painted and primed. So that's not out of library budget. Progress Club is painting. We've received 2 bids and we'll be going with one of those. That's the good news. So we have moisture problems downstairs. These go back to the 1990s. So we consistently have 4 dehumidifiers going downstairs. The humidity does create a mold risk, and that's very bad for a library. Black mold would force us to discard all materials and flooring. We had an engineer give a report, so we have a scope of work needed. We have some stepping stones to know steps we can take. And in the future, our plan is to go with the low-hanging fruit. What can we do more cheaply and what can we do easily, and see if that fixes the problem? And if not, we can work more with the engineers and maybe a grant writer to reach up and get the rest. So our stepping stones. So we're gonna start addressing items on the engineer's report. Can you see on here, there's gasketing hanging out of the windows? And that is bad with 40 windows. 2 companies came and looked at the windows. One of them was Ronnie Wilson, and he said all our windows are bad with the gasketing and moisture. So the funds we're asking for, we could pay for this and then start also addressing the lower hanging fruit. We don't have the bids yet for the gasketing. Talk about library dirt. The stem wall's exposed, and there's a hole in the soil under slab on grade. We have water that slopes toward the building, so we can improve drainage to help with moisture and extend the life of the building. This type of work can be completed by the city staff at low cost. So there's a window. Do you all remember where the downstairs bathroom used to be? There was a little miniature bathroom.
Well, around the corner from the desk area?
It was in the kids' library.
The miniature bathroom's gone?
The miniature bathroom's gone.
I know, and that.
Because we have all the dehumidifiers.
I hate to hear that. I love that little bathroom.
So the dehumidifiers, we didn't need any extra moisture, specifically in the south area of the building with the dehumidifiers. So that was removed years ago. But there's also a closet with a wall that we don't need that just traps in moisture, and that wall could easily be removed by city staff. Ta-da. You guys gonna let me off that easy?
I don't know if did we have a slide where we talked about allocating 15,000 towards this?
I didn't put in money.
Windows are expensive, so.
So yeah,
That would cover it.
we're wanting to do 15,000 toward it, and like Pam said, we have a huge list of items. We'll just knock off those items as we can use that 15,000 toward them. Anything that it won't cover, which probably be quite a bit, we'll hit up next year.
And with this being a historic building, are there grants or funding or things we can go after for that?
Yeah, Pam's starting to work on
Oh,
it.
you're starting working on it.
What, there's replacements or repair, or some of both?
It's mostly gaskets that are the issues. That gasketing needs to be replaced, and we're getting put on that. That's probably the most obvious issue that we see right now. It's just like, if there's no gaskets, the moisture just runs into the building. What do you guys think?
Remind everybody
That, new chairs.
I know it's chairs right there.
New chairs.
Thing is, when they were showing the guy falling up there, I was getting ready to say, I think that's you.
It is always, you guys like intentionally rotate this chair over here? That's why we get here.
No, but I wanted to before you walked. I don't want this chair.
Well, I've got the bad chair. You think you have the bad
I
chair?
think it's awful. I'm like straining to stay set up.
I just want to remind everybody that we do have a Carnegie Library. And our library has been noted as being the best maintained and well-kept Carnegie Library that's still in existence. I mean, it might be right now, but it's still the best.
I can see over the monitor. I'm probably the only one. Perfect, that would be me. Here it is. Okay. So this is just a list of all the parks that we maintain and other locations that we mow as of right now. I can go through it if you would like me to.
The 3 locations on fire, is that city property?
Well, back when they redid all the sidewalk, there was these 3 areas that Ditch Witch wasn't maintaining. They do a certain location, and then the previous city manager assigned us to maintain those other locations, which is fine, but it's from, what's the hotel just on the east of Brahms?
Super 8.
Okay, so Super 8 to that other intersection, is that 25th?
Yeah.
That's ours, and then 2 more further sections down.
Just past that, we don't own that lot.
I know that section we mow, and then I know that the street department also brush hogs the back part of it, so. The Highway 77, where the Exchange Bank billboard is. Over where there's a hair salon and the smoke shop or whatever it's called. So that whole curve until you get to what used to be seawater. We mow that, and then across the street at the street department and is where the old courtroom building used to be. We also do that too, so.
How many acres is that? All of it?
Total, everything.
A lot. I'm gonna say it's like,
There's more than a lot.
I wanna say it's over 200 acres that we mow right now. A lot.
Your list has about 130, and that's not completed yet.
Okay, yeah,
So 200 something.
yeah. 200 acres, give or take. Any questions about the mow? So this is my lovely machine now. She's a faithful old girl. We have 2 John Deere 1445s. They're 17 and 20 years old. They've only lasted that long because we maintain them so well. We service them after we mow them, use them. She's dirty right now, but she's bathed regularly. We do our part to ensure that it lasts that long, which is why they're 17 and 20. So, we have 12 mowers within the city of Perry. Not all of them will do every location that my department maintains. The 3 John Deere front mount, one of those is actually considered a surplus mower because there's an issue with it that nobody can find how to fix it. The Grasshopper, I have one and Terrence has one out at the airport. Cemetery has 3 zero-turn mowers. I've never heard of the BMAC mower before in my life, so I'm not going to try to attempt to pronounce it. 2 John Deeres out at the sewer plant, which I'm assuming are zero-turn mowers, I'm not 100% sure. And then they got a new snapper out at the softball field, which replaced a 95 John Deere zero-turn mower. So those are the equipment that we have as mowers.
Wait, why can't you use these to do your
I'm so glad you asked that, sir.
Go to the next slide.
Oh.
It's pretty steep.
Pretty steep. So, I don't know if I want to share my story publicly or not.
That's fine, you don't.
So what is that a picture of?
That's a slope. That's a very.
You can ski down it.
It's not anywhere in Perry.
I know I haven't been to the library for a long time.
This is why we need bigger TVs so Randy can see.
Yeah. So it's trying to explain that
There's grass and
We
bushes.
mow very steep inclines in some of our parks. Century is a very steep one. Rotary has several. Not every mower is created equal, unfortunately, within the city of Perry. I found that out last year after getting the grasshopper, that I'm afraid that if somebody else would have been on it, it would have rolled and flipped and either killed them or severely hurt them. So I'm forever, until proven differently, John Deere is top of the line for me. I know what it will do, I know what it won't do. As far as the 1550 or the model similar to what I've got. So 2 years ago when we got the grasshopper, they weren't even accepting offers on new mowers because of COVID, and they were $35,000. Say that I got this year for 1550 is 2,800 or 28,000. I wish it was 2,800. 28,000. So it's actually dropped. So that's a good thing. We've also looked for used mowers. Of course they won't. 1550s, same thing, but they're 19, and I don't know if they come with a warranty like a new one would. So. Any questions about the picture? Okay. Good. So the top one is what I'm wanting to purchase, the 1550. It just doesn't have the bars in front and the top that we have now, but they can be purchased. I would definitely like a cover. As much time as we spend out, the protection from the sun is just undoubtedly necessary. The John Deere weighs more, which also helps with keeping it on all fours. Without the deck, it was 1860. I could not find the weight of the actual deck. I looked and looked and couldn't find it. But the grasshopper that we currently have out at Perry Lake right now is, without the deck, 1170. So there is a distinct weight difference. As far as stability, I have to commend our city manager for doing what he did. It just speaks volumes. It may sound really small to those that don't understand, but to have him come out and actually climb on a mower that he's never used and ride it over to a property to get the feel of what I'm trying to explain was amazing, and I appreciate that more than you'll know. So.
And there's pictures to prove that I did.
There are. I have pictures, and I should have put it in the slide.
And next time, we need to call prior.
Do what?
We need to call prior.
I know.
Video on it. Come on.
I know. I'm sorry. Well, I'll learn. I will post them if you want me to. I'm totally down for posting them.
Facebook Live.
Huh?
You can do a Facebook Live.
There you go. I ain't doing flips off the diving board. I don't know if you want me to go into explanation as to why the John Deere is better than the zero turn. I don't know if everybody's driven a zero turn mower, the ones with the arms. There's not an actual brake. You go forward, you go backwards. This basically controls, whereas a John Deere actually has a brake. So if it's going too fast, all you have to do is let off the accelerator and it'll stop. But you also have the comfortability of an actual brake, whereas the grasshopper that I've got doesn't. So, and you can see you can actually put your feet that will brace you. Like if you're going down an incline, you can put your feet out, or at least one, and it will brace you, give you more brace, more stability. The steering wheel also is an additive for bracing yourself, keeping yourself in the seat. So as far as servicing, from the information I found, the closest place to get a Toro completely serviced is in Broken Arrow. I know Kinnon's has worked on 2 of the cemeteries, zero turns. I don't know if it's like a full service or if it's just, I can do your oil change, or if it'll like get into it deeper. Whereas P&K, which is where our John Deeres get serviced or worked on, is down 51 highway. So it's definitely closer. Any questions, comments, concerns? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Ready, Critter?
Supposed to say no.
First thing is our salt and sand spreader on the street program. That is a picture of the back end of the worn out, rusted up salt and sand spreader. It's the sand, salt and sand spreader we have now are 17 to 18 years old. We have a really good welder, but if anything breaks on them again, then there's pretty much nothing left to weld to. I mean, they're just pretty much shot. We've had it really easy the past couple winters. We've only had to use them a couple times. And if it continues that way, we may be able to make them last. But if they do, if we do get a bad winter and then they break, then we're out. And we only have 2 for the whole city. So, maybe we can budget for 1 this year, maybe 1 next year. And that way we can continue to use the old ones until they break, but we'll have 1 on hand. So, a year or 2 ago, the quote was $15,000 for a steel one and $20,000 for a stainless. I've heard that the stainless are a lot better. The only problem with the stainless, if we have a break, then our welder can't weld it because he can't weld stainless. We would have to have it welded somewhere else. But we're asking for $18,000 to budget for the steel ones. I've heard the steel ones now have replaceable parts. So if something breaks on them, we can kind of replace the part. But I contacted the guy last week to revamp our quotes, and I haven't heard back from him yet. So I have to get in contact with him this week. We're asking the budget for $18,000 for the regular ones and $26,000 for the stainless ones. They were, they said they were $15,000 2 years ago for the steel and $20,000, so they probably gone up. So
Yeah, so we're setting aside 18 this year is the plan for the steel, and then 18 next year is the, so 1 each year.
So does the manufacturer give you an indication of like how much longer stainless would last over a steel?
It's a question we've asked, we haven't gotten an answer yet.
I have to ask him about it. I figured I'd talk to him more about it whenever I get the revamp quotes on
And these will work with our current trucks.
it. These will, yeah.
Are they pretty universal, or as far as fitting on the trucks? Because how long do you think your trucks will last?
Well, the trucks are the same ages as the spreaders.
Okay. So
We
might have
we would
new
like to have
trucks.
new trucks too,
Right,
of course,
right.
but they're, new trucks and beds were, 2 years ago, they were $101,000 a piece.
Right.
But if you ordered a new truck or wanted a new truck, you would get something that would still
That would
work
match
with these.
with this, yeah.
We would have to get something that these spreaders are gonna fit in,
Right, right.
and the plows are gonna work on. You can't just go buy any truck,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
you know, it has to be,
Compatible.
fixed, yeah, where these would work. Now, if we got new trucks and new spreaders, the only thing we'd have to get is plows too, so. You know.
It's gonna take more than popcorn.
Okay, the second thing. The second thing is the fence at the transfer. I'd like to put up a new barbed wire fence from the gate, going south. That's Nate's red line right there.
Where's that?
Go
Really
south, clear that out, put a new barbed wire fence approximately 70 feet south of the gate, and then go southwest over to where the old fence starts, and then goes west to the property, end of the property line.
Is it
I have
current
one
barbed
roll
wire?
of
There's
fence
something there now.
already.
Is it barbed wire now?
Yeah, that picture shows what it looks like now.
Oh.
There is a fence there now?
Yeah, there's,
Kind
that's
of.
the
Sort of,
old
sort of.
fence on the back
Are
side.
there people coming in or something?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't know
still
why
go
they wanna
transfer
break
station.
into the transfer. but-
They go to the dump and loot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have a lot of people come out to the softball field, and that's what they look at whenever they look over at our dump. But
So is there a fence, what would that be, on the west side? Or is that
That's the
just-
south.
That's just tree line?
that's the south side right
Oh, you're
there.
talking
Right,
the
but
tree
I'm
line.
talking
Oh,
on the
yeah.
west side of that, is there a fence there, or is that just tree line?
It's just tree line right
Tree
now.
line?
And it kind of drops off, doesn't it?
It drops off on, I don't wanna go all the way down. It's gonna be about 480 feet altogether. Wanna go about 50 foot south of the gate and then cut across the top of that hill. We mow the backside. If we can clear that out where we can mow it, then we can get up in there and mow it and everything. But it's gonna shorten it up some, but we don't need all that room out there to transfer it anyway.
People can't see back there, Scott.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to look as
But
nice.
it'll allow still plenty of room to turn around and do what you need to do.
Yeah. I figured just a 5-strand barbed wire fence. I have one roll of barbed wire already. I'll have to purchase one more roll, the T-posts, the clips, and the concrete bags. We have the steel posts for the H-braces already. So it's gonna be about $600 to finish that fence. You wanna go on with the, okay, next one is the street department building. 2 years ago, the quote was $96,000 for a 120 by 70 foot building. It consists of the metal frame, the skin on the outside, 3 overhead doors, 4 walk doors, and 3 inches of vinyl back insulation. I got a quote on 5/10/24 for the same building, exact same thing, for $80,000. So.
Go to the next slide.
Those are her putting in a new building. Small building.
And that's where we'd like to, where we'd like to put it, down at the street department, right where that red is. Have somebody else construct the building. If we could get it constructed and put insulated overhead doors and some heat and air, then we could go ahead and move into it. Put a bathroom, of course, you know. But we could go ahead and move into it, and maybe do the inside, the office and their other area in-house. I could do some of that, you know, as we get the money for it.
Yeah, so the thought process behind this is, I wish we had the money just to throw at it right now, get it done. We don't. We want to save $40,000 this year to go toward it. We can start using some of that maybe for some of the things and build small and go bigger. We're not totally 100% sure how we're going to use it yet, but we do need to start saving. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. We've considered a few different alternatives. So like the Seth Wadley building, when they move up to their new building, streets could go there for a few reasons. We don't think that's a good idea. One, because we can get about $4,000 a month in rent on that, which makes up for a new building pretty quick. The other place we thought about is the mechanic shop as a temporary solution for them. So that still might be an option as a temporary solution. And then the third thing we thought about is who's been to the police shooting range? So just a couple of them. They have a kind of a break room trailer is the best way I can describe it. It's big enough for a break room type thing, and they got it from federal surplus for like $200. So it might be worth doing something like that. in their area in the meantime that they can use as a break room while we're saving up to get them a building.
Right.
So we are still looking at options, but what we're asking and recommending is that we allocate $4,000 to start saving toward this expense.
So maybe like pour a concrete pad and then put something temporary on it, and then next year finish it off.
Yeah, so that would be an option, definitely, that we consider.
That price you were telling, that didn't include the concrete, right?
No,
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
just the building.
That's just the shell. That's
But
just
we
the
still, I
building.
mean, we do
Okay.
have to do it.
And it's not to
Right.
construct it either, that's just to get it
Right.
dropped off in a heap.
That's not even the overhead doors, that's just the walk doors and the frame
Okay.
for
Okay.
80,000. I guess it's a fluctuation in steel
Yeah.
Right.
for $16,000 cheaper.
Right.
But we would like to get this done before, Critter finishes his time with us, because he's just so good at taking what he has and making it better.
Right. Right.
And he just has so many skills and talents in that way that we would love to utilize his skills and talents
Right.
before he leaves. But if we
So
want
we
to do
would
that.
save the 40,000 this year, but we would still find him an alternative before winter, right?
Correct, yeah. So some of that 40 would have to go to an
Okay,
alternate.
okay.
But yeah, we want to put aside 40 this year for it.
Or we continue to squat where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sure that rainstorm this morning wasn't
Yeah.
great for you.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
If we put a roof on the mechanic shop over here, it does have that office in front.
Right.
Yeah.
But then
That's
you're off
not,
your yard.
that's not too far away. We'd rather be down there with our stuff, but
Right.
this over here is not near big enough for everything.
Right.
And we own that down there now, so we're gonna continue to have all our stuff down there.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe if you just kind of officed out of the mechanic shop, but we poured the pad and then put a break room temporary on the
started.
pad, or
Yeah.
on the yard, so you've got a small space on the yard, but then you guys are also using the mechanic shop just for office.
We already have the concrete
Right.
poured.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Right.
fixing that roof anyway, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, there's quite a few options, and we need to get moving on them, and
Right.
putting 40,000, I think, is putting our money where our mouth is and getting a move on it.
Well, that's what, yeah, I think commit to that, but
Right.
provide something
Yeah.
in the interim
Yeah.
Agreed, yeah.
that
It takes care of them.
gives them a safe environment to work out of.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm with you.
so long-term plan would be to have fence or something that would demarc the city portion from what Ditchwood Jones?
Correct. That'd be long term, and then put,
Because today, novice drives in there, you don't know
Yeah.
what we own and what they own. It would be nice if there was a clear
Right.
Yeah.
And that would
fence
probably-
or something
yeah.
that says, okay, on the left side of that fence is city property.
Mm-hmm.
And on the
Talk
right
to Tracy
is.
about that.
yeah, that's long term, and then we would put our own entrance on that, northwest side.
Yeah.
Are you
Is that
impressed?
the
No
same-
mountains and I knew the directions,
Yeah.
northwest.
Any slopes?
Is that the same spot that David had pointed out?
Very similar to the same spot, yep.
Everybody's picking on Randy.
Or, yeah, yeah,
Our
Tour.
yeah, yeah, tour.
Which also does require a new entrance, right?
If they don't let us use the old gate, then to get our semis in, like he said, on the northwest corner, right on that intersection, that way, if we put it right on the north or the west, the semis won't be able to turn them in. If we put it right on that intersection, then they can come in and go out.
So
We're
if we,
dumping our rock and stuff.
if we were to temporarily use the mechanic shop, would get the roof fixed.
Yep.
Would Critter's crew do the rest of the cleanup and remodel inside there?
Inside. We haven't talked that far ahead, to be honest with you. We'd have to do something, cause it's not ready to be.
No.
Because to me,
But,
that's-
We could do that.
the upside of them using that is when they moved out of it to go to their more permanent location,
We've
now
got
we'd have a
another
building that
Yep.
was fixed and
Yep.
usable for something else.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever we move out where we're at now, we do have to find a place to put all that stuff that's in there. Our sign room, we got cones, we got table saw, we got a lot of stuff in there still. But we gotta find a place to go with it.
Yeah. I think it'd be a good idea to have something temporary on the yard too. That way you have guys there on site and you're not leaving all that equipment unattended.
Yeah, and if we can get some for you know, a couple of thousand, 225 for the building, and then the shipping for a few thousand. It's totally doable. And then again, we could utilize that once they're not using it anymore, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, we have some good plans in place, I feel like. Nothing that we've decided, this is for sure what we're gonna do, but some good alternatives that we're weighing.
But at this point, you're just putting 40,000 aside to help make that decision. and
Correct,
keep
yeah,
doing
and we'll
that.
utilize some of that to get this moving, but, you know, save as much as we can for
And
the
this
actual
price, this price is just for Mendico. I haven't really checked around. There could be other buildings, you know, cheaper, other company. But
Yeah, to keep
that's a
shopping
pretty
at
good
the-
drop from
Less expensive.
96 to 80.
75. It's 8,500 square feet.
What'd you say the measurements were on that building?
120 by 70. You can't ever have a big enough building. Might as well keep-
That's what I was saying, make sure we
Yeah.
put it where we can add on to it, 'cause
Yeah.
you're gonna wanna add on eventually.
We could even put the other lift, down there.
The big one?
Yeah, it is.
The big one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the salt and sand stuff, if you could put it inside, would last longer.
And the trucks up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we had a building like that, we'd have a place for the salt and sand spreader. We'd have a roof. We try to keep everything under a roof that we can down there now.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Guess that leaves
And then there was one. Or no?
Time to wake up, Karen.
Might have been some things, maybe.
Yeah, Vernon's got a water leak, so.
There we go.
Yeah, Brennan will not be here, he's got a water leak.
Yeah, we're just gonna
Sneak
leak
out of it.
All right.
He was very disappointed because he's like, I was actually ready for this.
Thank you.
And then just before all this started, there was a water leak.
All right, I've got 2 items that we went through. We actually had a lot more on there originally until the OAC. This was right before, actually probably about a week before you showed up, that they sent me that email. They docketed us for some construction, which I'll get to here in just a little bit. First thing we got is we've got issues with foreign debris, which is just rocks, anything that goes on the runway. It causes quite a bit of damage, you can see by that prop up there. Even worse if it goes through a jet engine. They don't like stuff like that. Given an idea, that is the mouth of the jet engine, in case you want to know. And it's got, you can barely see the jagged stuff, it's got some pretty good debris erosion from being, chewing some stuff up. Mainly the biggest problem for us is, see the propeller blade off to the right, lower? That is from a hairline crack from the image above it, not necessarily that propeller, but that little dent right there. That's what will cause that, and it'll depart the airplane. Usually when it does, you ever had a tire out of balance? It's like 100 times worse. That tip comes off about that far. So foreign debris is kind of a big deal.
Are those pictures just examples, or are those from here?
No, those are examples. I
Oh,
probably
okay.
could have taken some pictures of planes out there that show it. It's not nearly as bad. We try to stay on top of it. Currently, we've got a FOD raiser, which I've got a picture of in there. Actually, you can just kind of jump to that if you'd like. You can always come back. That's our current one. So you can't really see it too well, but there's a couple holes in it, and then where the essentially scoops, and they've been chewed down. What that does is it drags behind the truck. So we just drag it up and down the runway, and it just kind of scoops it up, puts it in a little pocket, and we carry it over to the side and then just lift it and dump it. It does work really well, but they wear out the runway over time. That one is only about 5 years old, 5, 6 years, somewhere in there. It just doesn't they don't survive very long, and they're about $3,000 to $4,000 at this point, just to change it comes with the whole thing. We could reuse our bar, but it's just a steel bar that runs across, goes on the hitch. So you're really buying the mats anyways, so they don't just sell the mats individually. You just buy the whole thing and go with it. So that's what we've currently got. What I'm looking at doing, since we do have that mower, they make a debris blower. A lot of airports have started using these, mainly because you don't drag them on the runway, so it doesn't necessarily chew off the surface over time. And then it'll take the small rocks and stuff like that, bigger objects, and go ahead and push it off to the side. We don't, fortunately, because we're out in the middle of nowhere, we can kind of push it off to the side and we don't have to worry about it. You know, it's gonna stay over there and until either the wind blows it back on or, you know, it starts pebbling up on the pavement. So that's what I'm looking at getting. That's about, the last price I got was, $6,243 is what it runs. The thing I like about this over the Fod Raiser is it's got a 10-year warranty. So you buy it once, you got it for 10 years, that's already double the life of the Fod Raiser. That's just in warranty. So the only thing that's really in there is bearings. So if those go bad, you're under warranty for that first 10 years. So it's only about $2,000 to $3,000 more. Now that's as of February. So it may have gone up, may have gone down, just kind of depends. And that's state contract. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I know the military started using those as well because they usually will run stuff every day, and over quite a bit of time, they truly do chew up their runway. I mean, they're doing it a couple times a day to clear it off for those bigger jets and stuff. So that's what I'm proposing on the FOD control. And then the fun one, which kind of falls into it, which we alluded to, the OAC. Oh, yeah, I forgot I got this too, if you want to see it.
So Terrence had them come out and show.
I was gonna ask that question.
A lot of that debris up there is on the front, just in our driveway. When he goes over it, the next time you'll see how big of a rock that thing will push. That's a piece of paper, about that big. So it worked out really nice. It was actually surprising how well that worked when they brought it out. I did take it up and clear one taxiway off, and one spot behind the, right in front of our red building that we can't get to with the FOD Raiser. It's too tight to turn. My hand and I worked out there for about 2.5 hours one day with leaf blowers and brooms. Somewhere, yeah, about 2.5. I did it in 15 minutes with this thing. So it was like done. So anyways, the second part, the OAC, this is the one that they kind of, sorry about that. There we go. So they threw this at me, like I said, right before Nate arrived. And the OAC, we've already dealt with a couple projects with them. They tend to just pop out of nowhere and say, hey, we're allocating you funds. So do you want to do it? And unlike the FAA, where they're required to give us funds every year, the OAC kind of picks and chooses where funds go. And whenever they usually throw them out there, you try to bite on them just because they may not want to give them to you next time if you choose not to. Not saying that they truly do that, but, you know. But they're, I've been talking to them about this. I've already asked them. We were slotted for it for 29, which would have put us, what, 4 years, 5 years? Somewhere in there. So they were going to slot us for that. Our cost on it, when we cut through it, runs about, the total cost of the project would be about $4 million to rejuvenate it. Because the FAA would cover 90% of it, we would normally have to pay that 10%. However, because the OAC decided to use it, or ODAA as they're now called, they cut 5% off of that 10%. So they'll take 200,000 and we just have to supply 200,000. And again, this was planned in '29. I kind of worked with them, talking with one of the gentlemen there, and we can push it back to probably 31. And I kind of did that because it would cut our costs down, saving up per year, if this is something we were looking at. Backing it up just a little bit, some of these pictures here, the cracks that we've dealt with, a lot of that will lead to erosion. So sunlight, water, freezing temps, that kind of becomes an issue. We did have her just crack sealed and recoated, which essentially basically glued all the FOD down and then sealed this up for later. But if we continue to let it work its way in, even though me and my other guy kind of try to crack seal everything we can every year, we can't get to it all with the two of us. And if we let that water go under there, it's gonna start chewing up the base layer.
So if you push it to 2031, will you last 7 years?
Should be able to. When I talked to him on the coating originally, I asked him, hey, how long is this? And he said, if you keep doing what you're doing, he said, you're probably looking at about 5 to 7. And I was like, well, we'll have to stay after the coating. He goes, yeah, because some of those cracks are so wide. Essentially, I just go out there and start dumping material in it until it seals up. I do have a new product that I was gonna order and give it a shot, which is FAA approved. And I was gonna try to kind of patch some of those bigger areas in, so we'll see how that plays out. But for the most part, we currently, I think we're one of like 2-3 airports in the state that actually does our own crack sealing too. So we kind of cut down through there, and it's a miserable job, but it does a really good job. It makes it last quite a bit longer. So that's where
But
we're
even
at.
2029, that's 5 years, we could save a lot, money, each year,
Yeah.
instead of pushing it, I mean,
So do those percentages hold if in 2029 or 2031, that's now 7 million instead of 4?
So again,
does
sorry.
it stay at the $4 million
Will we
price tag?
Will they still pay 90 and 5 if that?
I'm gonna lean with no. And the only reason I say that is because their estimates, they usually estimate high, but again, it's just an estimate. So it's gonna depend on what asphalt is, what's going on there.
The percentages will stay the same.
The-
but
the-
the
oh,
The
total-
percentages,
they still do
percentages.
9.5.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant like the inflation price and stuff. No, percentages will be the same. OAC will cover 5%, we'll cover 5.
As long as
FAA
it's not
covers
more
3.
than 4 million?
No, it'll go up and down.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
It-
Okay.
It doesn't matter
Yeah,
the price.
they'll cover the percentages across the board on that.
The only issue we have is running into inflation where our price increases.
Our part may
Right.
go up a little bit if the rest of it does,
Yeah.
but they'll still cover that 90 and 5,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And it could be possible that
It's
the other
less.
5 might get covered
Yes.
somehow.
Yeah, correct. Sometimes, every once in a while, something comes up, right? Where additional funds or whatever, where that might be the case. I mean, that's just a hope, and we're saving 29,000 toward it per year in preparation that we do have to pay that 200,000, but we just don't have the budget to put aside a lot of money all at once for airport. It's just not an integral part of the city functions.
The plus side is
Like we said, it's only gonna last 5 to 7, we write it 5 year,
plus side is on that, I did pin them down and asked Jace to give me a lifespan. If we do this, what can I expect out of this? Because I told him, I was like, this is a massive chunk of money, man. You know, is it gonna be worth us actually fixing it and like kind of patching it in, doing the rehab project? Or is it gonna be worth waiting even further and planning ahead and then doing the whole thing? And he actually surprised me, because he came back and said he talked to the engineers, and he said they expect that if we do this, it's going to add another 15, maybe 20 years on it, which I didn't expect. I was thinking more like 10, but apparently whatever they're gonna do to rejuvenate that's going to be I don't know if it's kind of mill up the top a little bit and then lay down another layer on top of it or whatnot. They really hadn't got into the specifics on that. So, but they said they were willing to work with us. Instead of doing 29, they could push it back up to about 31. They just need to know where they can allocate their funds, and then, like I told him, I was like, you know, I don't wanna, if it's something we wanna do, we don't wanna get to the end of it and then not have the money, be like, sorry guys. I feel like that's a quick way to burn a bridge. So, those are the main two items that I'd had. Other than I've got a couple of pictures that went with this. I kinda tried to shorten it up. That's one of the cracks that I've got up in the right-hand corner. And it's every bit as wide as that boot. So, and then the sidelines, there's a couple there. That's what that is. That's kind of crumbling off the side. So, it's gonna eventually need some help. It's just however we wanna go about it. So,
Yeah, so if you didn't get it from the presentation, the goal is to save 29,000 per year leading up to that 2031 date. That's our proposal for the room.
So maybe this is gonna be on a, when we talk about 5-year stuff, but when we went and visited the airport, it talked about how all the hangars were rented out, and you could, if we had more, be able to rent them.
yeah.
Have you guys talked about cost into putting in more hangars so we can rent those?
That was our project before this came up.
Okay.
We were excited, we were gonna pitch that and be like, oh, yeah, we'll get, it was about a 4.5 year break even, which would be great, we can keep doing that, and eventually the airport will be paying for itself, but
Please come up.
this came up.
Yeah, and the OAC, from what I heard on their hangar program, they got a lot of hits on that the first year they did it. Some didn't work out, but it was enough that they're like, yeah, we should probably keep this going. Because they either do either a loan or they do a grant, one of the two. And there's different percentages based on that. But it's enough to actually bring the cost of something like that down to where it's affordable over time. Put a couple in, now you can draw some income on it, all of which would be kept to FAA standards since they kind of have to deal with that. That's the only part that really drives the cost of buildings is when you do something with the FAA, you deal with their engineering standards, and it's quite a bit more. They're very picky.
And we own all the structures out on the airport.
No, most of the structures are actually private-owned hangars that pay gun leases. Because there's really never been too much push to do any sea hangars out there. We've got about 5 hangars available to us, one of which is the main terminal hangar, which was really provided by Malzahn, Ditch Witch. And then we've got 3 of them, 4 of them down at the south end that fill in the rest. We still own that hangar that spot that Heinemann Brothers had done the leasing on. And after about 15 years since they reskinned the whole thing, we're gonna get it back. I guess it'd be less than that now, probably 13 years, I think, if I remember right. So those are really the only structures we have.
So if someone's leasing the land or person with the hangar is on, if that person passes away and the heirs or whatever don't want the hangar, what happens to the hangar?
Generally, they end up selling it to somebody else. The biggest thing on those hangars out there, especially those older ones, most of them weren't in here. So you kind of run into that issue. Privately owned, we really don't assume responsibility when they're sitting on our ground, right? No. So privately owned, we don't have to worry about that. But if we were to mess with a hangar, like build them, such as the ones we've got, those were engineered.
Or if we acquired one, it would have to come up to FAA standards, right?
Basically, which I can almost bet would be level it and use the concrete.
Tear it down.
There are some of them out there, there's some really interesting engineering on it. But they've held for so many years, it's mind-boggling. So,
And there's something in every one of them.
pretty much, yeah, yeah. Hangers last, usually when one of them comes up fail, it lasts about 2 weeks before somebody buys it.
So we'd love to get more out there.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
How much does it cost for a hanger? Around about?
Depending on the size you go, it's gonna be,
Is it 50?
Like
Oh,
if you
it's
guys were
not,
gonna,
it's
like
like-
if you guys wanted to put one in, like how much are you looking for?
depending on the size, it's gonna be probably somewhere between 75 and 100,000. If it's at FAA standards, that's another trick.
Right,
It's
right.
gonna be engineered. And that's where they came in with the OAC stuff. They put, yeah, they kinda do the grant system, so
Right.
they'll cover so much of it through your grant. I think they do, like you, about like 40%, I think, is
Right.
what it would be.
But that wouldn't sit empty, it would get rented.
Yeah, it may take a little bit to get it filled, but it wouldn't, I mean, by a little bit, I mean, probably a couple of months maybe to get it filled. Generally speaking, the only ones that I have that are transient like that are OSU students. They'll come in, they'll bring a plane, they'll park it over here for a couple of years, it goes out, and then within the next year, it's full again, you know?
Now that Stillwater's doing a lot of domestic stuff for some of those private people looking for somewhere else to go,
Mhm.
so it'd be more attractive for that.
Yep, I've already got one guy that's from Stillwater over there, and then, had a gentleman call, which I gotta call him back first thing tomorrow, that's looking at putting a Piper Arrow in the main hangar.
So we could pull over some of those Stillwater people that are wanting to get away from, having to deal with American or whoever's flying in there. That could be something.
How often does the property lease change
Yeah.
value?
Not
If-
very,
if
we
I-
upped the lease value not too long ago, but, it's always able to be adjusted. I think the last time they did it before we upped it was, 10 years prior to that? And that would have been, Bryce, do you remember what year we adjusted that?
That ship has sailed. It's sailed in a real way. I mean, we used to have a good handle on those leases. And then one of the pilot wanted one for 40 years. Then they all became 4-year leases.
Man.
Okay, so, that ship has sailed.
We are capable of raising the rates though.
We are capable of raising the ground lease, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
We have that. And the ground lease, I mean, let's be frank, what is
It's like 200 a year. They're
200 years? So, if you have a plane and then you have a bunch of other stuff.
Right. But then they're
it's-
buying fuel
it's-
from
It's
us.
literally the cheapest storage that you'll
If we
ever
ever got
get
big enough that we had a
anywhere.
mechanic, we'd be doing that too.
Yeah, so working on it.
Right.
On that one, on the mechanic.
We do have.
We've talked about that a couple of
Yeah,
times, getting
and
a mechanic out there.
And I've talked to Scott a couple of times, and he's still, because he's over at Stillwater right now, and he was talking about moving partial base operation to Perry, which would be great, because then that'd pull in trains.
Which would help sell fuel, it'll be a good revenue source for us.
Yeah,
I see a lot of
it
people
would increase it.
Really something that we haven't really tapped in the past.
The airport had major oil and gas revenue for years, and then they did a water flood out there. There's the oil up by water, but it's currently not producing, is that correct? And that
It's
doesn't
not.
mean that it couldn't.
Well, it's a minimal royalty number.
All dollars.
The majority of the
all dollars
improvements that we've
associated
done
with oil
were
and
done
gas
under
have to be
lease,
retained by
lease
federal
bonus
law
money
to the
out
airport.
of the airport, so.
So
Back
that's
when
how
we
we
signed
funded it for
3, 4,
years,
5, $600,000 lease
decades.
bonuses. That was what funded the majority of the matching money for the FAA projects. That's where we got our road money.
Yeah, the airport does have a lot of potential. It's just, it really is one of those classic things that you have to invest to make
Yeah.
money, and we just don't have the money to invest in it.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Well, like golf courses, like swimming pools, like every other quality of life
Yeah.
piece, airports don't make money. The nice thing is we have federal government subsidies that come in to keep the infrastructure at an adequate level. It falls back on the city to fund the operations of those. And I can take you to every municipal airport we have, and every one of them subsidized between $75,000 and $350,000 a year. You know, I mean, that's just the nature of it. Like every golf course is subsidized, you know, $350,000 to $500,000 a year, and every swimming pool is subsidized $200,000 a year. Those are the quality of life things we choose to have. Those quality of life things cost money, and they will never pay for themselves unless out of the blue we find some oil, you know, reserve setting underneath the airport that has to be spent on that airport. Outside of that, guys, it's very typical, you know, 150, low end 75, traditional 150 to $30,000 annual subsidy to keep an airport running. That's just what it takes.
Thanks, Terrence. Any other questions for her?
City of Woodward got a $20 million grant to improve their airport, and it's still gonna cost them about $400,000 a year to run their airport. You know, those dollars just don't exist, even in the big, separated, rural, you know, because what they were trying to do is make hubs of FAA, you know, I mean, twice, you saw the money that went to Northwest Florida, you saw the money that goes to Southwest Florida. You see those big $20 million grants that went out 2 years ago, and these airports got awarded those huge dollars. But they're never going to make money at those places. It's going to be a subsidy.
Did
That's
it help
just
with their
infrastructure improvement.
Yeah, did it help with their sales tax or things like that? Not much.
Because the majority of those people are coming in for commercial, or for client work, you know, and especially those regional airports, they're not coming into the city. They're buying in for, you know, so within an hour drive of where they came. You know, they're not necessarily coming back into the city. It was anything attractive.
You need a FedEx or UPS.
Most people understand why they went, but please make sure everyone understands we appreciate them all coming to speak with us.
For sure.
You're welcome.
He meant everybody else.
Everybody.
Yeah, I know, man. I have
Everybody
never
but
seen
that.
a polo before.
Only for special occasions. Only for special occasions. That's right. You guys rate me being in a polo shirt.
Why'd you have the camera facing you?
Well, I will. I
Oh,
was just,
okay.
you guys were still discussing. So,
Maybe magical on.
okay. There we go. Yeah, all right. So we're using some fancy new technology tonight.
Yep.
Yeah,
I saw the two.
Yeah, so the council
Split
approved
screen
this over 2 years ago, and I bought it almost 2 years ago. I finally got to implement it, finally, thanks to our current city manager. First thing I want to say, I want to apologize to our YouTube viewers, because I know that it's buffering like crazy. There's a setting that's incorrect, but we are back on Facebook, and it's been doing great. So, still got some settings to work out. But I am able to control this system through my iPad, which is just amazing to me. So, I'm going to go ahead and run this right here, and get that keyer down. So, information technology. What?
Now with even more electronics.
Now with even more electrons, exactly. No one used, like, I made these templates and no one used them for, anyway. First thing I want to say is we don't actually have an information technology department. So I run Penn. Most of information technology budget comes from the specific departments that are requesting it. But one request on here is actually mine. The rest of them came from Joel. I've spoke with Joel about it, got the lowdown, so I'm going to be presenting it to you guys. If you guys have questions, obviously feel free to ask me. There's a good chance that I won't be able to answer it, but I will try my best. I can't buffalo through this one with an IT person sitting on the council. So,
my request, this is actually my request, Penn Primary Computer. I built the computer that I use right now back in 2014. So it's lasted a good 10 years. I chose to build it myself as opposed to buying it off the shelf because you get more bang for your buck if you do it that way. So it is not cheaper. A lot of people think you can build a computer cheaper. You can't, but you can get more for the same amount of money. So my machine, being 10 years old, being a 4th generation Intel processor, starting to have a little slowness. It is still chugging along, but I work it really hard. In addition to that, it is not suitable for Windows 11, which is coming up, and that's a theme we're going to see a lot moving forward. So obviously the alternative is I continue working with that machine, and even if I replace it, that machine is going to continue to stay in my stable. It will become my daily driver machine, my task machine, because it is still an operational machine. Me not having Windows 11 isn't as big of a deal because I am an IT person. I'm not as worried about security risks as we are with the other machines. So, any questions about that? And I will be building this one myself as well. All right, city email. Personally, I kind of think this should be on the operations budget moving forward. This year it is on the capital outlay. So we spend about $8,000 a year to have email. It's a total of 65 users. We have 5 level 3 users, which have additional storage as well as access to Office. Mostly we got it for the additional storage though. Actually we have 6 level 3 users now. But the city manager, payroll, HR, city clerk, and our accounts payable, these guys have to keep records for an insane amount of time. So we don't want them having storage issues. So they're 50 gigabyte accounts, whereas the rest of them are 10. Although we do have a user who is bumping up against her 50 gigabyte limit.
Yes, she was.
But the remainder of them are just standard email accounts. We do use Microsoft Exchange. We chose to go with Exchange for the advanced functions that it has, specifically shared calendars. There are some other things that it does as well, but that was the big driving force behind us going with Exchange. And Exchange is a well-known quantity in the industry. Like I said, we have 65 users total. The majority of those are police and fire. Every policeman, every fireman has their own email account. So the remainder are city positions. Any questions about that? Okay.
So not every city employee has an email?
Not every city employee has an email, correct. A lot of city employees have an email, and all departments have an email. But the only employee-specific ones are long-term positions like city manager, city clerk, pen, that sort of thing, or police and fire. And police and fire do use theirs. They use theirs to communicate. So it is, I was doubtful when they first requested them, if they would use them, but they do. They do.
But there's not a way to send out an email blast to every employee?
There is. Not, okay, every employee that has an email, correct, correct. So, take the streets for instance, Critter has an email address, the rest of the street department employees do not. But if an email blast goes out to them, Critter will then take that information to them.
Okay.
That's the delivery mechanism, yeah. Backup software, we use a backup system. We have a daily rotation backup. It used to be on a tape drive, now apparently it is on a fancy SSD. That's still in a cartridge, it looks like a tape. It's kind of mind-boggling, yeah. So this is just the software that keeps it going, keeps us along those. Again, probably something more operational, but.
The backup information, is it kept on-site and off-site?
Yes, so every day when they do the daily deposit, one of the ladies from front will go back, they'll take out that drive, they'll replace it with the next one in the series. when they go to the deposit, they take it to the safety deposit box, correct?
Take it to the bank and the
To the
bank
bank.
picks it up.
So we
They back it
have,
up there.
I think, a 3 or 5 day rotation that's stored offsite. So one will be on site and the remainder will be off site.
And offside is the bank?
Yep,
Offside
it's
is the bank.
safe. I used to have to switch it out.
Oh. Yeah.
And this is like physical drives, not
Yes, these are
not
physical.
cloud.
We do not have any cloud storage currently, no. No. That might be something we want to look at in the future. I'm not sure what the cost is on that,
I'm assuming
but having both a cloud system and a physical system would be optimal. But as it is right now, even if we lost, we would lose at most 1 day of data, I believe, if we got like some ransomware, something along those lines, and we had to, completely wipe the servers and start back over, because we ain't paying no $5 million to get our,
No.
no 10 Bitcoin for you, buddy. You picked the wrong city. So this is just the software that keeps that going. Firewall maintenance. We do have 2 firewalls. One at City Hall and one here at the police station. Behind those firewalls are our most sensitive information. So having a good firewall is definitely a necessity. Joel likes Palo Alto boxes, so that's what we've been going with. That is not my area of expertise, so I will definitely defer to him on that. But to stay current with Palo Alto, it's $800 a year. So obviously it's $800 times 2 to keep both of them going. I did look in to see what would happen if we dropped that. They would continue to work. We would not get any more updates. There are some changes that we wouldn't be able to make on the back end. I don't know how often we change stuff on the back end to begin with. But basically whatever configuration is locked into now would be that way until we continue the service with them. Firewall replacement. So every so often, got to replace those Palo Alto boxes. They run about $2,200 a piece. This year we're requesting just one, I believe it's for the police department, and then next year you'll see one for City Hall come up as well. $2,200 does include the $800 fee. So the year that we replace that, we will not have to pay that fee until the next year after that. We could look at different boxes as an alternative. I'm not sure that any other dedicated firewall is going to be any cheaper. They're all pretty baseline. And this is what Joel is familiar with, this is what he knows, this is what he uses at Exchange Bank as well. I figured it's good enough for a bank. Probably good enough for us. Any other questions? You guys are making this too easy. Okay. Here's the crazy one. We have a whole slew of computers that do not meet the requirements for Windows 11. Windows 10 is going to go end of life as of 2026, so we got 2 years. Typically, we will request 2 computers per year to replace. But because we have so many computers that don't meet the minimum specs for Windows 11, we're having to request more each year to get caught up on that. So this year, we are requesting 8 computers. 5 of them will be for the police department, 2 will be for City Hall, 1 will be for the Parks Department. I'm not entirely sure, I did not check with Joel on the prices, why the prices are different. Why Parks is...
It's the quality.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. He did
storage
more
and-
quality computers for those who are in positions that require more quality computers.
Gotcha.
Just like your computer's
Right.
nicer than mine.
Right, exactly, okay. Patty's machine is probably, the Parks Department machine is probably the second oldest in the city. It's a 3000 series of Intel 3500, and it's running Windows 7. So the oldest machine actually belongs to Critter, also a 3000 series, also running Windows 7. So,
Do you know how many computers we're gonna have to replace between now and 26?
this is the bulk of it.
Oh, okay.
I think there's 6 more next year.
We had 4 in City Hall that needed to be done.
Are there?
So 2 this year, and then we were looking at 2 next year.
2 next year? So that'd be 2, Critters Machine would be 3.
I wanna say that was half of ours too, Tyson.
Half years, okay.
Yeah, Joel did a pretty good job at doing half and half, I think.
So it may be another 8 computers next year.
Okay.
So, but after that, we won't have to do this for a good long while. Honestly, for as long as I've been in IT, I've never seen an OS come out that had a hardware requirement like this. So typically, like they have your minimum recommended, but you can keep limping along. A lot of the machines that we have running Windows 10 came out with Windows 7, including this laptop right here, which is one that I repurposed. But that minimum 8th gen hardware, minimum 8th gen Intel processor requirement really is a kick in the face. So, but you can see that's how that breaks down. There's a little explanation as to why. I forgot that I did that. We could continue to use those machines. We could take the hit on the security risk. When Windows 10 goes end of life, they will stop regular updates, specifically security updates. They will continue to get updates. I still get updates on Windows 7 machines, believe it or not. And it's been end of life since 2020. But especially those places like at City Hall or the police station where we want that network security to be the best, having the latest security patches is probably important. So, server maintenance. So we have 3 different servers. A domain controller in City Hall, Casella server in City Hall, and the police department has their own domain controller. Servers are expensive. They're running about $12,000 right now. Joel is recommending, and I totally agree, and Nate agrees as well. We just go ahead and spend $1,000 for an additional year of maintenance on them. So it's, in case something does happen, we're covered on that. I guess the average replacement on parts and service is about $2,000 to $3,000, which is frightening because that's the cost of a whole desktop. But servers have specialized parts, and they don't benefit from the economies of scale that PCs, desktop PCs do. So there's the alternative, and that is all I got. Am I still up 30 yet? Which buttons do I push? Let's do that one.
All right.
Any other questions for Tyson?
Derek, you're the IT guy. Question one?
How much be more critical of this than anything else.
You guys like the fanciness? I'm really stoked about this.
Are you talking about the Polo or the?
Yes, absolutely. I'm definitely talking about the Polo.
So does this mean you're gonna sit out here with us?
No. Yeah, but I could.
I think that's what it meant.
The one thing I can't do with this is monitor audio, and that's something really important to me. But you guys got a little taste of this last time with the old machine that I was working on. But say we got try to do this real fast, but of course it's not going to work real fast. Say we got 2 people that are going to look away from each other because I definitely chose one of the ones. Got 2 people. Oh, it's not even a...
We're not impressed.
I know, yeah. So here we have a 2-shot. If people are setting up properly.
Yeah.
People are setting
Yeah,
up
I saw
properly.
that.
Yeah. I did do a little bit last time, but still learning the system. It wasn't animated last time.
Looks great.
That's fancy.
So we got a heated discussion. Both people yelling at each other.
Oh, don't put it?
She would have
Good?
had
All right.
to get him, they got a policeman.
Oh, right.
Could have got him to the chief in a half shot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tyson.
Yes.
All right, so I have one more thing to go over, and that's Vernon's portion.
Getting
Since
ready
you
to
have to
ask
step
if
out.
that one was gonna be moved to another one.
No, let's rock it out.
Okay.
We made it this far. I'll go quick. So Vernon has a few things that he is recommending we fund. The first is work lights. Currently they're using backhoe lights and flashlights at night when they have a break like right now. They're wanting some kind of a light system that they can, wheel up on a trailer or something and flood the areas they're working.
Yeah, they're just using the lights on their trucks, right? Yeah.
And on the backhoe.
Yeah, and the backhoe is just.
Yeah, so super reasonable request. The other thing is wetsuits. They currently they all don't have wetsuits, so you can imagine during the winter when it's super cold outside. This picture here is, I think, Jesse, right?
It's Jesse, and
Where-
he just got out of the hole.
Yeah, so you can see like his jacket's frozen. Actually, when he took it off, he set it on the ground and it stood up, the hood
Yeah.
and everything. So wetsuits, super reasonable. A tower blanket is one thing they're wanting to keep the tower, and I'm trying to remember what tower it is. I think it's the one over
Skyline.
Is that the one by CCC Lake?
Yep.
Yes.
To keep that one from freezing and causing problems. Whew, some words I'm not familiar with. Turbidimeters are required by ODEQ.
Thank you, Vern.
Yeah, so he's like the one person that I'm like, oh man, I really don't understand this stuff super well. But I went through his list and said, the thing he said, must fund. I was like, okay, we'll fund that. So he has some sensors, he has some water leak detectors. That leak detector, he did explain to me that essentially it's some kind of system that allows them to get closer and closer and they can hear the leak as they get closer to it. So that when they're digging, they're not digging a huge area, but are concentrating on the spot where it actually is.
What kind of sensor was that?
What was that?
What kind of sensor was it?
Water leak detectors.
No, the sensor.
Oh, what is
What
it?
kind of sensor
Can you
was
read
that?
that for us?
Turbidimeters.
Okay.
That's pretty good. I'm impressed.
That makes me feel like I'm learning to read all over again. But yeah, so I don't know what that is, to be honest with you, but he said they really need it. He says these sensors go along with the turbidimeters. When the samples are pulled, the sensors put out a display and send a signal to my SCADA. Any questions?
Can you say it one more time?
No.
I think it's been different 3 times.
Yeah.
So we're talking about funding everything on that list.
Correct, yeah, yep. So we're talking about funding all that stuff for them. And that's our capital projects requests.
So what was his grand total?
His grand total is, water, is that what it is, 19.5?
That was on that list that you gave us in this.
Yep,
folder.
19.5, that's correct. That's his grand total. So,
That's the only thing I would suggest on these slides is that some people actually had their grand total.
Yeah.
And some didn't, and while they're going through, it'd be nice to go, okay, and this all adds up to bam.
Okay, I appreciate the feedback. Anything else? We're gonna do this all over again in February. But we'll have dinner for you. Some faces seem
We'll have more
ways.
than popcorn.
Actually, we could, if you guys don't pass the agenda item tonight, the resolution, we can do it again next, or on the
The
17th.
17th.
For the
Yes.
council meeting.
I
so-
think we got Tyson back there.
So that's actually my recommendation, just based on the feedback that you guys gave during the slides. It seems like everyone was pretty on board with what we went over, and I would recommend that you make a motion to adopt the budget for tonight. If you don't want to do that, we can have a discussion and do it on the 17th, but.
Again, what was the grand total for all the capital stuff? 230?
238.
I actually got it down to 229,100.
Okay.
So even less.
Capital budget.
No.
I was told I had 230 and I did it for 229,102. So.
So now we're
By
back.
the way, I've never had a city manager that I told 200,000 and he actually comes in under it. Most of them, if I tell 230, they find at least at 375 whenever they finish on what they had to have for the year. So, I mean, heck.
So I know the definition of a constraint.
So no crying or gnashing of teeth or,
That might have been a little bit.
And we haven't had small zones for anything yet either, so.
Good.
I think we're moving in a good direction.
Alright, so let's see.
We're on number 10.
So we're on item number 10, is what we've been on. So with that, if you guys are okay with what's been presented, this would be approving the budget, not just the capital projects, but the budget.
And what is the entire number?
Yeah, so Russ, that would be a you question.
So the appropriations for the general fund that you'll be approving is $6,935,205. Funded with current revenues in the general fund of $3.55 million and transfers in of $2.85 million, giving us a net decrease in the general fund of $536,000 for the year.
From this fiscal year?
For fiscal year '25.
Is smaller though than fiscal '24.
The net difference between the utility fund and general fund will be less. The general fund by itself standalone this year is actually greater than what last year's decrease was.
And we're budgeting at 90%, right? Russ?
90%.
Do what?
We're budgeting at 90% revenue.
We're budgeting our recurring revenue, sales tax, use tax, franchise fees at 90%, yes. That number comes up to about $150,000.
Right.
So you apply that $150,000 back to that 536, and we're at a 380 decrease in general fund. Historically, I can tell you, we won't be down that much, but that, when we budget, whenever I tell you the numbers, I've got to play in worst case scenario on those pieces, so that's where we'll end up.
This doesn't have a utility rate increase nor any kind of budget for raises.
Correct.
Yes.
No utility rate, no budget for raises, and 90% of reoccurring revenues. Capital projects, $229,106, $4, $2, whatever. $102. Less than my $230,000 that I told you.
Headcount staying the same.
There are no additional positions budgeted in this budget, so who is currently employed today is included in the operational budget going
Except
forward.
for intern, right?
Yeah.
In terms of full-time, yeah.
Oh.
Seasonals
full-time.
fluctuate, but in terms of full-time benefit.
We're just, literally, really guys, we're picking up last year's budget and plopping it down into this year. Few changes in operational expenses that we do, but this is one of those budgets, we changed the capital price and we picked up last year and pretty much put operations into this year and said, hey, with all the cuts and everything else going on, this will get us something to adopt. That's honestly one of the reasons I'm so comfortable in telling you, hey, adopt this. It kind of is just it's a continuing resolution, if you want to look at it that way, of what we're currently operating at. We're just going to push that over till we get to the fall. In October, we'll talk about the other bigger things, once Nate gets a little bit of time to get his arms around, the finances and everything else. Then we can talk about utility rate analysis, utility rate increases. We can talk about what we're going to do on payroll, and then what we're going to add capital project wise, even at that point, so.
And we can talk about line items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like this approach.
So do we currently hire any students in the summer timeframe for additional jobs or?
Yeah.
Summer help.
Yeah, summer help.
Yeah, you had
Ours is
interviews,
quick.
I mean, we've hired a couple already, and then Christie was in
We
interviews
have
a
a
couple times this
past
week.
summer employee who has sent quite a few gentlemen our way. We thank Hunter for sending a lot of people our way.
Yep.
And the schools sent out an email this year.
And those mainly are for the park.
Yeah, a lot of them are Parks and Rec department.
Right, it's like, okay.
They'll fall into the parks, they will be at the water plant, they will be the water plant mowing and doing all that, so those guys can do their job. Otherwise, one person always has to stay back and do that, so. They will kind of float around as Patty picks up more of the mowing jobs.
Okay. With that, any other questions?
I want to talk about this next time too.
I was just ready to say, I don't see a reason. put this off for the next time.
Well, then we would need a motion.
Oh, Meredith will be here, she'd love to talk about it with you again.
I would, but I have a kid in.
So can the motion be as simple as move to approve the budget as submitted?
Yep,
Approve
that's all
the
it is.
Second.
Yeah, Approve
Approve the
Yeah.
resolution.
Yes.
Yep.
Second.
All right, so Randy will make that motion and Danette will second. Let's go ahead and have roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Coldarn.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. Yeah, I know, now let's see where we're at here, okay.
Number 12.
No. Okay. Item number 12. Does anybody need?
Can we take an
Yeah, I know,
environmental break?
I was saying, does anybody need a break real
Why are you
fast?
looking at me?
Randy, do you need a bathroom break?
I need a bathroom break.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Pause.
Do we need to take a
Do
motion
a
to
vote.
recess, or
You
do we
better
just
hurry,
take a
you're losing
break?
your quorum.
We can just,
We can just take,
yeah, we just shouldn't bother.
Alright. 12, receive recommendation from the Perry Planning Commission on ordinance number 2024-08 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 12 of Perry Municipal Code 2022 entitled Planning, Zoning, and Development by the addition of a new Article 7 entitled Historic Preservation.
This is like the other one that we considered today. This is only to receive the recommendation.
Yep.
And then item 13, if you agree with it, you would approve this ordinance and approve the emergency by a separate vote. You know, we've been talking about creating a historic preservation zoning district here probably for 20 years. But it hasn't ever gotten this far. I mean, it's not gotten far. We drafted a document, we provided public notice, we provided for a hearing in front of the Planning Commission, and they approved it with a few changes. The changes that they made, we've given you copies of the few pages that they changed, and I put in yellow what those changes are. I don't want to deal with that right now. I'll deal with that in a second, because those are just really minor changes. What does this ordinance do? Well, it recognizes that we have, you know, historic landmarks, and we have a historic district in our community. You know, our community is more like Guthrie. You get a Folkart, and they have a Folkart building. We have, you know, beautiful downtown buildings. Oklahoma City also does, but Oklahoma City's historic preservation is really wrapped around historic residents or residential districts, Heritage Hills, Crown Heights. You know, ours we would think would be downtown. That's really where the history is. But what this ordinance doesn't do is it doesn't designate that district. That comes later. All this does is set out what the rules are gonna be. And here's what the rules are. Once this district gets designated, and let me tell you how it gets designated. We have to take a copy of this ordinance, and then I like to say a copy of a really plain letter that sets this out in 10th or 11th grade English, so it's very clear to everyone. And this needs to get mailed to all the people within the area in which we propose there to be a district, okay? Now, how can you come up with a district? Well, the ordinance says that the city council can recommend it, or the planning commission can recommend it, or that this historic preservation commission can recommend it. You know, I think quite frankly that the historic preservation commission and once you appoint the members, if you adopt this, and the planning commission get together and meet and discuss what it is. But we know it's gonna be at least the downtown district. And it very well may be, you know, the same area that we talked about for prohibiting marijuana, you know, if you remember that particular district. But that's gotta go through a process. And what we would do is, by doing this, you would say, hey, those are that area is the historical, cultural, economic, aesthetic part of the community that we want to preserve. And that we don't want buildings demolished there, because right now, anybody that wants to demolish a building can just come down, get a demolition permit, and can tear a building right out in the middle of if they wanted to, and you can have what they call a keyboard downtown, you know, where you got black holes, black keys and white keys, you know, and many have done that. You know, we have a little bit of that on the east side of the square, where I assume that there were buildings there that have now been torn down. And so we want to stop that, and probably, you know, if you own a building downtown, we don't want you to paint the brick pink, or put in windows, or put in siding or stuff that isn't in keeping with the historic nature of it. It's really dealing with the exterior of the building, the look of the building. But it pops up any time that you get a building permit. So if you're within that district and you get a building permit to do something, you're gonna have to go before this commission that you're gonna select, and you're gonna have to apply for a certificate of appropriateness. you're gonna have to, kinda like we do site plans, only it's gonna have a, you know, with site plans, we're looking down on it, you know? In this, we're kinda looking, you know, right at the frontage, right at the front, the facade. And that group is gonna say, well, what are you gonna do, and what kind of materials are you gonna use, and they're gonna look at that. So you need to put people on that board that have that kind of interest, and will work with the property owners. Now, this is probably gonna upset some of the property owners, you know? I mean, what do you mean I have to go to this commission to do these things? So, you know, you need to be careful about your district, but I mean, that's what you're doing when you're designating that district. But there is what's called ordinary maintenance and repairs, okay? And that's a definition in here, because we're not doing everything. If it doesn't require a permit, if it's just painting the building, which is an unpainted brick, if you know, there are things that you can do to your building, replace panes of glass, replace a door, you know, there's plenty, put a new roof on, there's things that you can do that wouldn't require a certificate of appropriateness. And just to give you one of the things that we added to this, in fact, if you go to the last page of the handout that we did, this was suggested by the Planning Commission. We provided a ordinance which says that this commission can adopt bylaws and rules and regulations which better define the definitions are. And the definitions are the guts of this thing. You know, when do you need a certificate of appropriateness? When is it ordinary maintenance and repair? And in addition to that, one of the main things is there's a certificate of economic hardship. So, you know, there are times where it's required. If it's required, you have to go make a showing. There's times where it's not required, if it's ordinary maintenance and repair. And then there's a certificate of economic hardship, and it requires a showing to come before the board. But, you know, in that case, you would actually look at these factors, and the factors are detailed. Is this that important of a building? I mean, if you do a larger district, let's say it's not on Main Street, you know, it's not there in the Main Street, it's off Main Street, but it's within this larger district, and maybe it's a single-family house or something, and they want to do something to it, and you look at it, and they don't have a lot of money, and you think, well, you know, maybe they get a certificate of economic hardship, you know, and they don't have to do it. But within this area, this isn't just to you know, if you're going to remodel something or maintain something. It also goes, if it's a vacant lot, you're going to build something. I mean, what you're going to have to build in this district is going to have to be keeping with what this commission thinks, and that's the historic nature of Perry and the historic look. So that's really what this ordinance is about. Now, what we tried to do is we tried to make the people that will be members of it, we broadened that out. If you turn, I've got that page here, it's page 6, and I know I have one part of it in yellow. We really broadened it out. Everybody has to be a resident except number 2. He or she can or cannot be a resident. And we added this is something else that the Planning Commission wanted. And that is to add a provision that owner of a building located within a designated district could be on the commission. Now, that's really going to require you to only appoint 4 unless you appoint a resident. Excuse me, it won't make a difference. You're only going to probably initially, if you want to fill that one, you don't know what the designated district is until after you go through the process. So you're going to have to appoint 4, and then you're going to come back and appoint that 5th one. But we broadened out each one of these categories, and even a member of the city council can be on this. We also provided, if you look at the underlining, we did this later under 12-721. We provided that any member of this commission could be removed by majority vote of this board, let's just say there was somebody that just, didn't get it, they were either too hard or too loose, or for whatever reason, it's for any reason, you will be able to handle that. The other thing that we added since we first put it in the paper was an appeal to this board. And that is, the way we had it originally, the commission makes the decision, okay? But we did provide that if you file a notice with this board within 10 days, it can be appealed to this board, the city council, and the city council can make the determination. So we put a lot of criteria, and there's a lot of people that looked at this. The zoning committee, the council zoning committee had a lot to do with it, and then we gave it to the planning commission, and they spent some time with it and came up with some suggestions, which we included in this document. This document's capable of being amended at any time, but we have to start somewhere. I'll tell you that I didn't write this. I mean, this isn't original. It is an original document. And I told the planning commission that 45 years ago, I was the legal advisor to the Oklahoma City Historic Preservation Commission when I was 23 years old, 45 years ago. And I was there for 18 months, and we did a lot of stuff down there in Heritage Hills and Crown Heights and all that. And this looks a lot like theirs, and it looks a little bit like Enid's, and probably I haven't compared it to Guthrie's, but it looks a lot like these do look the same. Ours has some Perry flavor put into it. But you're really not gonna know how this works until you get adopted, until you select that district, okay? And really, when you do that, and you have that public hearing, I think it's gonna be so important to hold that in a larger place, kind of like we did the hospital issue, maybe over here at the event center or something, because there will be people come out, and we're gonna have to be prepared to talk to them and lead this, lead them through this, and then it's gonna be how this actually gets played out by the commission when there is somebody who wants to. But the whole purpose of this is to raise those values down there. And the other that I told the planning commission is, we're placing this on the public and on the owners of buildings down there and all. But if we're really wanting this, and Derek speaks of it about being an economic development tool, and it is a tool. You think about the Guthrie as a tool. What Guthrie has, and we could be some of that. It is such a tool. But one thing I'm sure that Guthrie did, when they started it, and for a number of years, is they invested public money into it. We've already invested in sidewalks down there, and I think Nate's talking about sprinkling and flowers, and he's talking about branding and signage, and even to the point where I know Main Street's facade grants, but if we could, maybe with the Malls on Trust or with someone else, really make that a real thing where somebody comes in and we could do better than what Main Street does, and really assist them down to the state Main Street and show them the tax advantages for doing that. I mean, we could really turn the downtown around, because I imagine that this is going to be at least the downtown square, and then from out to there. So all we're asking you to do today, if you want to, is to adopt this. We can amend it at any time. And if you do, we're going to get, probably on the next meeting, we're going to talk about filling those positions. And then we're going to get a list of property owners and mail this thing out and get going on this, if this is where you want to go. Any questions?
When Main Street came to town, we were named a historical district, and it was, I think it included a square and one block off the square. And we're on the National Historic Register already.
Yeah, that does not provide for local regulations where you can govern the owners
So this
of
is
the
what we're
building.
doing now. is
Yeah,
the
what we're doing is we're
presentation.
doing the next step.
Okay.
You know, and this is a step that's where the rubber meets the road. It's fine, it's nice that we got designated, because we have really cool buildings. But this is where we recognize that. And we say that we're going to place, and this is like an overlay district, we're gonna place a district in an area, and we're gonna hold people to a standard, okay? And
We're gonna
then, you know,
protect.
to protect other investors that are down
Some of
there.
them
And
will be torn down like the east side.
yeah, and there's a whole section in here for demolition, and if you wanna demolish it, you've gotta go through this commission.
And
So
to
this,
that,
go ahead, sorry.
It's my understanding, if we don't protect them, that register that you're talking about, we can
We
lose
can
buildings
lose that.
off of that register. So this helps protect that register as well as hopefully grow and make things.
So currently, if there's a building that is not up to this ordinance, they have to change it?
They're grandfathered in.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'd be grandfathered in, and then when the building changes ownership, they're held to this standard.
Well, no,
Correct, or no,
If they
is that?
apply for a
Any
new
owner,
permit.
any owner, if they
Oh,
were
if they're gonna make
getting
changes, that's right.
they're gonna
That's
get a building permit, there's a whole,
Currently, they can stay
you
the
know,
same.
it's
Yeah.
essentially a building permit.
Right.
Yeah.
Do exterior facade changes, because that's what we're concerned with. And it's detailed in there under the certificate of appropriateness. I mean, if I want to, we can, well, it's actually in the agenda. I detailed what that was under the second to last paragraph. The work requires a building permit. The work includes the application of paint to a previously unpaved brick or masonry exterior structure, or the construction or enlargement of a driveway or parking area. The work includes the construction, erection, moving, demolition, reconstruction, rehabilitation, restoration, stabilization, or alteration of the exterior of any structure or site, except for the work, when the work satisfies all the requirements for ordinary maintenance and repair. And then you have the definition of ordinary maintenance and repair. So that is the standard right out of the ordinance.
And that's where Main Street comes in, because they can get someone that's wanting to redo their building, free architectural services to help them choose paint and stuff that is from that historical era.
Right. And that commission would have a list of things that are appropriate, or paint colors, things like that. Then Main Street could go to that owner and say, hey, here's the options to stay within this framework.
Well, appointing that executive director of Main Street to this board and her connections back to
Right.
the state Main Street would probably be a good idea, or at least she becomes the adjunct or
Right.
something to that, because we need that connection.
You know, we had Main Street come in and redone 2 or 3 buildings on Main Street, just using our town for, you know, workshop. I thought that's probably what we're doing, but I wanted to make it clear, and that hadn't been mentioned, that we had already been.
Right.
named right.
That's it.
I've read through this a couple of times, and it feels like to me this is what we need to protect our community and keep it historic.
Yeah, I did the
It
same thing.
just,
and I think
it feels like it puts those protections in that were just kind of honorary before.
And I think it's gonna help attract the type of investors that we want, because they're coming in knowing that.
There's an
they're-
expectation.
Right, there's an expectation in the buildings around them, so their investment is going to be protected.
It's like an HOA or having
Right.
covenants on your
Yeah.
property where, you know, except that owners don't enforce it against each other, it's governmental. And so there will be some, you know, there likely to be some people that will have, that will have some issues, but, you know, and that's where when you really talk about, you know, what our long-term plan is there, and that this is a place where, you know, we intend to help, you know, I mean, the carrot and stick is always a good, you know, it's a good way to go with government.
This may also provide other opportunities, avenues for owners to get more grant money or funding to do things as well. And Bryce kind of hit on it, you know, if the zone includes an area where new development comes in, we can require those buildings to have a facade that looks old or fits the time period, so it fits within a theme as well.
Right.
And on this item, we don't have to take any action.
No, we're
Not
just-
on this one, but on the next one we will, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't
was
know
just
if I said
discussion.
any discussion.
Yeah, 13 is the approval of the ordinance. So, if we're ready for that, we can move on to item 13.
Just give me just a second, I want to update you really quick. I got a message from Vernon about the water leak that they are working on. That's where Nate stepped out to give him a call. He did state they're gonna have to shut the tower down in order to get this leak fixed. So they may be shutting this tower down. So he's out trying to get an update, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, apparently they're still playing
And
in
that
the
was on
water.
13th in Delaware?
13th in Delaware. He's been at this place twice already. But he's getting our update to see exactly what's going on.
Okay. All right, well, we'll wait for that update. Let's go
Well, I
to-
make a motion that we.
Oh, I gotta read it.
Let him read it first.
He's gotta read it
You gotta
first.
read the whole thing?
Yeah, I know. I gotta read the whole thing.
That's a long read.
I know. All right. Item 13, consider approval of ordinance number 2024-08 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, which amends Chapter 12 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 entitled Planning, Zoning, and Development by the addition of a new Article 7 entitled Historic Preservation, providing for Division 1 entitled Generally, Section 12-701 entitled Purpose, Section 12-702 entitled Definitions, Section 12-703 entitled Jurisdiction of Historic Preservation Zoning Ordinance, providing for Division 2 entitled Preservation Commission, Section 12-720 entitled Generally, Section 12-721 entitled Terms of Members, Section 12-722 entitled Meetings and Rules, Section 12-723 entitled Duties, providing for Division 3 entitled HP Historical Preservation Zoning District, Section 12-730 entitled Creation, Section 12-731 entitled General Provisions Description, Section 12-732 entitled District Identification, Section 12-733 entitled District Regulations, Section 12-734 entitled Ordinary Maintenance or Repair, Section 12-735 entitled Uses Adjacent to Historical Preservation District, providing for Division 4 entitled Historical District Zoning Designation Process, Section 12-740 entitled Procedure, Section 12-741 entitled Interim Control, Section 12-742 entitled District Designation Criteria, Section 12-743 entitled Certificate of Appropriateness, Section 12-74 entitled Certificate of Economic Hardship, providing for Division 5 entitled Demolition, Section 12-750 entitled General Provisions, Section 12-751 entitled Procedure and Postponement Order, Section 12-752 entitled Criteria for Review of Demolition, providing for Division 6 entitled Miscellaneous Provision, Section 12-760 entitled Minimum Maintenance, Section 12-761 entitled Historical Preservation Commission Review, Section 12-762 entitled Appeals, Section 12-763 entitled Taxes, Section 12-764 entitled Property Owned by Public Agencies, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, penalty, and declaring an emergency.
I will
Yeah,
say you read well.
Very good.
Very good. Yeah. I now we can make a motion that we accept the ordinance 2024-08 regarding historic preservation.
You don't want to read the whole thing?
No, I don't want to read those.
Second.
You did
Do
well.
we have to do emergency?
And we'll do the emergency right after. Good call. All right, so we have a motion and the second
I got it.
for the ordinance.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Colon.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams. Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Now emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
17.
We've already done 40.
Yeah, we've done 13, 14, and that was 13. So 14, 15, 16 we already did.
17.
Yep, so item 17, consider approval of payment of $7,001.25 to Moran Valley Engineering LLC for engineering contract and on-call services provided for Matco.
Motion to approve payment. Second.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 18, consider approval of an amendment to chapter 6 of the City of Perry Municipal Authority's Personnel Manual by the replacement of section 8 concerning alcohol and controlled substance testing policy and procedure.
This is it's not really all that new. This is very similar to the policy that is in the police and in the fire contract. The policy that we've been under is one that was adopted probably 20 or more years ago, and we shortened it. This is about half as long as the other one. It takes out a lot of provisions about training supervisors and just a whole lot of procedures about testing labs, because that's all done by an agency that does that. So we didn't need to have those things ours. This is advising the personnel of what the rules are. And of course, the rules are you can't come to work, without all our drugs. Of course, there's marijuana licensing, and you can ask somebody if they have a license, but of course you can't be a policeman or a fireman if you have any marijuana in you. That's a safety sensitive function, and there's a number of other safety sensitive functions. So this addresses all this. Now, I love to tell stories. This is a great story. Back when I was city attorney of Enid, probably 1985, I think I wrote the first substance abuse ordinance in the state. A very conservative place up there. And this is before Just Say No, Nancy Reagan, but it was during the time of the Reagans, And I think we had the first one in the whole state. And we passed it. And a couple weeks later, all these people were driving their cars around with a bumper sticker that said, "Make the city attorney pee first." Is that not hilarious? I mean, is that not hilarious? Because I wore my hair a little longer and all that. So I actually had a councilman come up in office one time, because he got sick of hearing, you wear your hair a little longer, and it's the 80s. He came up and said, "You're coming with me." And I said, "Where are we going?" "We're going to the hospital." And we went over there, and I took a test, and well, let's just say I was still employed. You can't do that, by the way, but it's not authorized to do that. You can only do tests if you have reasonable suspicion.
Or random.
Okay. Or if it's random, or if you had an accident with your car, or if you have a personal injury, and this policy provides for all of that. But it's very important to get your policy up to speed with the state law, because if it's not, and you violate one of the provisions of the state law, you are liable to that person. So we would post this for 10 days, hand out copies to all the employees. That's all the employees, not police and fire. We've got because they essentially have this. I'm going to do a review of both of those, and we're going to try to get those into their contracts that come back up. But 10 days after we provide it and post it can be controlled. So that's it.
Any questions on that policy?
Motion to approve.
Roll call.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Brown. Wortham.
Yes. Item 19, adjourn.
Can I do a quick
I was gonna
interruption?
say, one thing I just noticed is we don't have new business.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Should have new business.
We didn't want them.
There's a major water leak on 13th and Delaware. They're gonna have to shut down the tower in order to fix it. We're planning on doing that at 10:30. It'll pretty much allay all pressure to the town for about an hour. So just so everybody's aware, you have about 30 minutes to prep for that if you're brushing your teeth.
You want Tyson to send that out real quick?
We are gonna send it out as well.
He snuck in and went to Tyson.
Yeah, we will send it out, but
While
I
you were
thought I'd
reading your
let people
book.
know.
So if we made a dog an extra bottle of water to bathe with, is that?
Yeah, on the
That's
way,
right.
on the way out.
So we gotta hurry so we can run home.
Good shower in the morning.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we got a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Bunch of seconds. Take a pick.
Rupp got it. Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.
Is that what I said?
No, not on that one.
For what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right, ready? All right, let's call our meeting to order for the Perry Municipal Authority, June 3rd. What? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we did the motion for the emergency.
Yeah, 'cause she,
Yeah.
motion
Yeah,
has.
yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
Got it.
all right,
Okay.
You had the second on it.
yeah.
Second guessing myself though, because we talked about it.
All right, let's have roll call from PMA.
Coffee.
Mm.
Coffee.
Yes.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis.
Present.
Goldar.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Here. All right, we've got a quorum.
Thank you.
Item 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Roll call.
Oh, I have to wait, Bledsoe, hold up, I am used to that one. Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams. Brown. Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 4, consider approval of resolution 2024-02, Board of Trustees of the Perry Municipal Authority, adopting and approving its fiscal year 2024-2025 budget for the stated purposes as contained in the budget, directing its chairman, vice chairman, and trust manager to take any and all additional actions as may be required for the implementation of this budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar. Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown. Wortham.
Yes. Item 5, consider approval of an amendment to Chapter 6 of the City of Perry, Perry Municipal Authority's Personnel Manual by the replacement of Section 8 concerning alcohol and controlled substance testing policy and procedure.
So moved.
Second.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 6, consider approval of the pole attachment agreement with Vero Fiber Networks LLC, providing a private fiber between public schools and running on the poles to begin at Perry High School, boring Highway 64 to the corner of 10th Street, then utilize poles to 10th Street and Park Drive, thence west on Park Drive and north on 15th Street to an access point for each school, Perry Junior High, Perry Lower Elementary, and Perry Upper Elementary.
This is a private fiber line which the school wants to put in that will connect all those schools. They've gotten Verbo Fiber Network to put it in. This pole attachment agreement is just like the one we have with Blue Peak and the one we have with Suddenlink Clarity. So it provides for the fees. It's just, it doesn't run as far. It's just, you know, it's a short run. They have agreed to this. I sent it to them, they've agreed to it, and they're apparently, once this is approved, they're gonna start working on that. I've also run this through Mr. Wheatley, who's very familiar with this, and he's open to.
Motion to approve? Second?
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Item 7, adjourn.
So moved? Second.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Alright. I have to look at some of these because we only got the last page on them. Just those. Okay. Whenever you're ready. Alright, let's call our meeting to order for the Perry Facilities Authority. And begin with roll call.
Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall.
Here?
Davis. Here. Goldar.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Wortham.
Here. Alright, item 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay. Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. Alright, item 4, consider approval of resolution 2024-01 of the Board of Trustees of the Perry Facilities Authority adopting and approving its fiscal year 24-2025 budget for the stated purposes as contained in the budget, directing its chairman, vice chairman, and trust manager to take any and all additional actions as may be required for the implementation of this budget.
So moved.
Second?
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. And item
Motion to
5,
adjourn.
adjourn. We got a motion
Second.
and 7.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes.